is 5 o'clock, so I'm going to call this meeting to order. Today's Thursday, October 18th. The time is 5 o'clock sharp, and this is a work session of the Leander City Council. Today we are here to discuss with the HBA public improvement districts and a short discussion of current housing trends. So, David, shall I start with you?
Yeah, so handout, just a really quick snapshot of kind of the real estate market in Leander specifically. A couple of highlights. The median sales price in Leander is about $270,000. Average is $328,000. That is a little bit higher than the countywide sales price. Of course, the spring and summer are the best time to sell homes, so we're moving into the slower season. So I suspect we'll see that drop off a little bit. Of course, this weather's not helping either. As you'll notice in the snapshot, year-over-year changes in closed sales has gone down 12.5%. In Williamson County, I couldn't drill down to Leander specifically, but in Williamson County, there are about 1,200 active new construction listings, which is about 41% of the inventory countywide. Between July of 2018 and July of 2017, there were 49 builders building in Leander over the past year and about 30 different subdivisions. And I wasn't sure what else y'all are looking for market-wise. I know there's some land acquisition folks in the room who might be able to talk about where the land is and how easy it is to kind of procure that land.
You said 49?
I'm sorry?
49 different builders?
49 over the past year.
In 30 developments?
In 30 different subdivisions, yes, ma'am. And that's everything from the 1 or 2 custom homes a year to the volume folks.
What are you seeing like entry-level housing? So one of the things we wanted to talk about was affordable housing. So, we're very concerned about the rising cost of housing, obviously, and it's those that are, on tight budgets the worst. So, we've seen a drastic increase or a pretty substantial increase in entry-level housing. Mm-hmm. Is that being seen everywhere, or is that an Austin thing, or what are you guys hearing? An increase in
entry-level housing? Actually, no. The entry-level housing is dropping off substantially.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he means the need for entry level.
The need has gone up.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
It's going up.
Absolutely.
Supply is down.
Builders can't even get any homes on the ground for the $250,000 range. They can't build them fast enough. Okay. And in the Austin MSA, there's a chart I'll share with y'all later. The drop-off for the entry-level, $250,000 and less, drops off steeply while the luxury market continues to climb.
Okay. But
so
the desire for entry-level is dropping?
No, the desire is still there, but
Okay.
there are fewer.
The ability.
It's not
the
available.
ability to build them. Right.
Okay.
Because of labor shortages, lumber prices, of course, regulations, everything else.
Okay.
It's more and more difficult to put those houses on the ground.
What regulations are keeping that cost inflating?
There are a number. There are some things that are, of course, outside of our control, like immigration policies or lumber tariffs. But whenever it comes to the city-specific, there are things like impact fees, which a number of cities are considering in the Austin area right now, particularly in regards to roadways they're going to blanket add anywhere from $3,000 to up to $10,000 on every single lot. There are things like design standards, which I think we'll talk a little bit about later, that these requirements can requiring specific types of materials or a home to look a certain way. And then there are things like the lot mixes, requiring, or I guess putting restrictions on density and make it really difficult for a builder to kind of really knock down the price of the home. If you can mix up the lot mix a little bit more and have some smaller lots mixed in with the bigger lots, then the builder can achieve the density. It will allow them to sell homes for cheaper.
In what way is that being restricted?
Sean, you were going to talk a little about that.
Yeah, typically, so KB Home as a builder developer, 90% of our developments out there, we self-develop the lots and are delivering homes on those lots. And the challenge that builders have faced post-2008, 2009 financial crisis, especially the publicly traded builders, is we employ risk management. So we're looking at buying acreage in smaller blocks than we traditionally have bought pre-08. So if you're thinking that we'd go out and buy 200-300 acres at a time, or contract for 200-300 acres, we're at a meeting this week. You know, we're looking at it at 50 to 75 acres at a time, and sometimes smaller. Our land acquisition guys will tell you that 35 acres is the optimal size for a new development because we can take it down in an appropriate number of phases. We can put lots on the ground. The issue is whenever you're coming in for what we prefer straight zoning and going and getting a zoning classification, having that ability to have a composition of lots available to us instead of having to go just SFC or SF urban or SF suburban. We'd like to be able to come in and go, hey, here's our preliminary plan, here's our concept plan for the subdivision, and here's a composition of lots that, without going through the PUD process and go, 30% of our lots are going to be SFL or SFT, 40% are going to be SFC, and then the balance of those are going to be the suburban and urban lots, and we're going to develop them in pods. And here's our plan to move forward and having that composition type of zoning. I would call it a single-family neighborhood zoning. So it's taking the existing zoning classifications and going, here's a mix that you, developer, can pick from to save time to market, because time to market is one of the largest driving factors in development cost, and having to go through a zoning case and then having to go through the preliminary plat process, final plat process, and construction plans. If that can be condensed through having good streamlined zoning processes in place and avoiding the PUD negotiation process, it would be helpful for looking at composite zoning and adding that single family neighborhood. Because in our case, and every builder's different, we'd want to see sets of pods that are 40 and 45 foot widths to build our smaller product. We'd want to see pods in our 50-foot width. And we'd probably go even put 60 and 70-foot lots on an appropriate size development and sell those to other builders. We just want to be able to do it in a streamlined fashion and be able to come with our preliminary plat and use straight zoning is always our preference over going through the PUD process.
So your question, do you have any other cities that you know of that have this kind of composite zoning that you're working with?
Round Rock does. And Round Rock, they call it, I believe it's SF3 is their, and so that you can do this combination of 40s and 45s, 50s, and then they require 70s, all in that SF3 zoning. And we have a project that's working its way through the process over there. So they have
percentages then, and they tell you what goes in there, and you really prefer that. You like that.
We do, because it's straight zoning. We don't have to come, ask for any variances to it. We like zoning codes that are straight and easy. As I tell elected officials when I meet with them, we're the biggest rule follower out there. Put rules that we can follow, and we won't come ask for exceptions. Sit down with us as a stakeholder, as industry, and let us help you with our industry knowledge so that you can do what's best for your community in developing a zoning process that allows us to not take up your staff time and make them more efficient by being able to just follow the rules.
What do you feel is the main inhibitor that's keeping you from being able to just use our straight zoning, where you feel the need to come together with come forward with the PUD?
The issue for us is that being able to have that combination of 40, 45s, and 50 and needing to go do a PUD. So you've got to be able to acquire the land correctly, and you can come do a PUD, that's not an issue. Y'all done plenty of them, and you're more than willing to sit down. But time to market, having that single-family neighborhood where it's already predetermined would speed that time to market.
And I was also thinking, I'm sorry.
Let me just ask, just to clarify, you're not talking about changing our single-family zoning categories as much as you're saying having to use a PUD to arrange them in your neighborhood.
Yes, that is what I'm saying. There are some things within the composite zoning ordinance that need to be addressed. Rear load garages and the cost associated with that. Our guys tell me that it's 15 to 20% of the cost of a lot. So you're adding somewhere between $7,500 and $10,000 in direct costs either to the land budget or to the house budget. And you're going to add, give or take, depending upon the builder, $15,000 in sales price When you look at consumer preferences out there, and we survey the market about every 18 months looking at what consumer preferences are, rear load's always an option, that there's some number of buyers out there that want that product, but that is not a primary consumer preference, is having a rear load garage. I used to work for the government and work for a city, and when I would visit with our public safety officials and we'd have this rear load conversation, they'd be like, nothing good ever happens in an alley. And so you're looking at the long-term cost of it. I had the opportunity to live in West Texas for 3 years, 6 months, and a day. Not that we were counting, but we were. And most of that community had rear load alleys, and the city had a trash easement through there because that's how they were picked up. Trash blowing in the alleys, who's responsible for maintaining them? Is it going to be a public alley that the city is going to have to go maintain as an additional street asset? Is it going to be a private alley that the HOA is going to maintain? Or even the worst case scenario is the homeowner is responsible for their portion of the alley, and you end up with two neighbors fighting about who's supposed to be fixing that concrete or asphalt.
I'm sorry, you're saying, we have a quick time here, so I didn't mean
sorry.
to interrupt, but no. So you're saying that the market drive for rear alley is not,
It's limited.
it's limited. What do you mean by?
Some of the guys that work more with sales could probably speak to that.
I think the reason is because it cuts the backyard
Yep.
down considerably. Nobody wants a tiny backyard. However, the flip side of that is when you do these smaller lots, you end up with a garage door and a front door, that's the reason that specific item exists.
Yeah, and you address that through architectural standards, and there's things that you can do that, planners will tell you snot-nosed houses are not desirable. Well, there's things in your architectural standards that can keep you from having snot-nosed houses that create a desirable community view from the street view. There's many examples out there of neighborhoods that we can send you to around Central Texas and some close to you where you'll go drive through them and go, the architectural design makes that a desirable product in the way that the garage is oriented to the front door to make it an inviting place to be, as well as that street view doesn't provide that solid garage door face.
And to tag on to that, the kind of the pod mixed zoning makes that even less of an issue because you have the larger lots squeezed in between those
Can't
small
you
lots.
build on a 20-foot lot? Can't you build higher than that?
I'm not sure what you mean.
So on an SFL, can't you build an SFU? Can't you plat it as an SFU and build it?
Oh, I think
You can't go. You
yes.
can't go smaller. So that's what I don't understand is if we're say you go in for zoning and it's all SFL, you can still plat 50 and 60-foot lots. There's nothing that says you can't do that.
You just can't
You're
do
not
more
allowed,
dance.
you're not allowed to do all SFL, are you?
Well, I'm just throwing that out as an example. Even if you did
That you
all
can go
50-foot
bigger,
lots,
you just
can
can't go
SFCs.
more dance.
You can go bigger lots and still do straight zoning. You don't have to do a plat.
That is correct. But the desire would be to lay it out from the beginning so that the homeowners, when they're buying, know exactly what they're getting.
Yeah.
And so it's just an option. And you are correct. If you have that SF limited zoning with the minimum interior lot width at 35 feet, you could go put in a mix of 50s and 60s in that.
So if that happened, this conversation started with affordability, and that the alley loaded product increases the price by how much?
15%.
Probably 15 to 20%.
Okay, so if we don't do that, is the price that goes to market going to reflect the adjustment?
Are you saying by going with SFL and real loaded, would it have the adjustment?
If you were not required to build an alley loaded product, if there was a
Your home price is
garage
still
and a
at 20%.
door,
Yeah. That it
can
just
you
wouldn't.
put that in writing?
It wouldn't be built. It wouldn't be included. At least in our shop, I can't speak for anybody else's shop. It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be included in the directs. And so when we go out to go figure out what the sales price is, we're going to be looking at what our direct construction cost is for our lots, our homes, and then all those things that cost us to operate, and then the margin on top of that. So it's going to be reflective. How we sell at market rate, the market really truly determines them.
That's kind of my point.
How big of an issue is affordable housing for the HBA? I mean, is that something that y'all are concerned about?
Well, is
Yeah.
it because it reduces your margins, or is it because you can't sell it? Do you understand what I'm asking?
Absolutely. So if we do not, if we got rid of that cost, our prices are going down. It's not gonna, the margin is not gonna be higher, we're gonna be selling at the same price. If we don't have that 15 to 20% premium, you're gonna see a reduction in purchase price.
If I could know that that would really, really happen, I could get behind
I
that all
can
day
show you
long.
examples in San Marcos, for instance, where,
But the market here is what the market is. And, I mean, we've all experienced, and maybe it's not the same way on a higher end product, but in the entry level, there's kind of a bottom line where you get to and nobody's willing to go down from there.
We're trying to get to velocity, and so by having that lower price, velocity actually improves our margin because we're able to turn units faster. I know that's it's a strange concept, but if we could go from turning 3 units a month to 5 units a month because we've got more velocity, we actually perform better at the lower price.
So you can advertise, 225 to 500,000 on your advertisement. So having a lower starting price on your advertising, that helps bring in people, helps you close more lots, limits your carrying costs.
Sell more.
Yep.
So
I'll give you an example of something that concerned me recently. We've got a new development, and when I went in, I didn't tell them, hey, I'm with the city. I just went in to look at it, right? And so I'm talking to the sales agent, and it's smaller homes. It's on the north side of Leander. And the sales agent said, okay, here's a plan here, and oh, by the way, you can go down the road in Liberty Hill, and you can get the same house for $20,000 less. So, A, that's subjective. I don't know if it's true. B,
It's true.
Is
Dirt
it-
cheaper in
Yeah.
Liberty
well, that's my
Hill.
question.
Yeah.
That's my question. Is it all dirt cost? Is it, in your opinion, is it a combination of things, or is it
It's
mainly land cost?
It's definitely a combination. I think the land plays a role, but I can tell you right now the design standards, the difference between Leander and Liberty Hill also has an effect on affordability.
Does that have anything to do with quality or
that-
safety?
The exact same floor plan.
It's not the same material.
One's got masonry, the other one has
Okay.
hardy plank.
The regulations is what drives it up. I mean, a lot of builders, we would prefer to get to ETJs. That's our most successful communities is ETJs because the cost of construction and the cost of the land and the cost of development is significantly lower in those ETJs. And they're usually governed by the design standards of that HOA or of that developer.
Do you have any data that shows the appreciation of those homes versus the appreciation within a city? So my question would be over a 10-year period, what are the average costs? What does that house
Maintenance to
appraise?
repaint and-
Is it still appraising a lot?
I think that's a great question that you could get the Board of Realtors to pull you.
Yeah.
yeah, if you could,
Yeah.
that would be great.
And that's really where our responsibility lies, is what is the long-term value that we're building for our city? Because getting someone into a quote, more affordable home means nothing if the value doesn't hold, or if there's so much to maintain that it's cost prohibitive for them to keep it.
I think a lot of our residents want to have some level of design standards. Are there any that Leander has that you feel are egregious or just over the top?
Well, I always like to open the discussion with design standards by saying that a lot of, particularly the volume builders, a lot of the folks in the room, they have entire market departments who study their customers. They know what their customers want. So I think even with cities that don't have design standards like Leander, you see the way homes are looking these days are very different than the homes of the past because the customer demands that. I think from what I hear most often from my builders and Leander specifically, it's the masonry requirement and then the orientation of the garage, whether it's a side load or of course garages. We couldn't come to Leander and not talk about garages. Either the side load orientation or the orientation of the garage in front of the house, in front of the front facade. So those are probably the two most that I hear
Sure.
about.
I mean, the masonry is the big driver, or is one of the big drivers, and the way you have to design the house, the more articulation you have on a foundation, the more expensive it gets significantly.
So when you talk masonry, are you including hardy?
No.
So what is the standard masonry requirement around Central Texas?
It varies. It'll go anywhere from 25 to 75%. Occasionally, you'll have a community that's in an ETJ that may drive a four sides masonry, but
Leander is one of the highest.
yes.
So you're saying we can't have these high masonry standards while we're crying we need affordable housing, because
Right.
those two don't go.
Well, and there's options available to maintain the same architectural design standards and still reduce the masonry. You can do masonry on exposed to streets and then allow everything between the houses and behind the houses to be hardy so that when your street view remains the same as it does today. We do that in a lot of communities, not because it's required, just because it's what looks good and sells, and the customers are asking for it.
I think history-wise, how that came about is we had several starter home communities in Leander, and they were getting into that 10, 15-year range where the maintenance issues were coming into play. It's like, oh, those paints are looking bad, and you see some mold.
It's expensive to repaint an entire
And
house
so
with siding.
we decided to, kind of raise the bar in Leander, and we upped those masonry standards to get, and we've gotten some fabulous neighborhoods as a product, of those decisions that were made. And I think now it's time we're kind of coming around, and it's time to reevaluate.
Well,
this
and-
and
Has
see where we're at.
technology,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry,
what I was.
has technology changed any in the actual materials that you can use?
Yeah, I think the cementous hardy plank, it's not wood. In fact,
Okay.
it's like even virus resistant. There's all kinds of really interesting technologies out there. Of course, paint has come a long way. You don't have to paint as often, but
Is it armadillo paint or something? I heard warranted for 20 years.
yeah, I mean, it's an arms race, right? They're trying to make more hardy, more sturdy paints that last longer.
What happens when permitting goes out or building inspection goes out and sees that y'all are required to put in cementous fiber and y'all are putting in plywood? What happens in that situation?
Or how is that happening?
Oh, it's happening.
No, I know, but
I have not
run
heard
across
that.
it, so I can't answer that one.
Yeah,
That's happening here?
Yes, it is.
I have not heard that.
It is
So
happening.
we will get you that
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, please,
Yeah, I think it's a recent issue we've come across.
because that's
where they're
obviously
not-
unacceptable.
Yeah, having to pull that out.
When they're required to put in a hardy plank and they're putting in a lesser quality, plywood or
Particle board.
particle board.
What do we do as a city when that's discovered?
We just red tag it.
Yeah, if we failed the inspection and, hopefully take a look at what else they're working on.
So going to the other end of the spectrum, right? So, the parade of homes is going on right now. Obviously, some of us were there last night, and, I hear things like, hey, Leander is selling more homes 800 and over than any other place in the Metroplex, or the Centralplex, as we call it. I said Metroplex, sorry.
NSA.
Old habits die hard. So the question becomes, executive housing is one of the things that we can hang our hat on as a city compared to our sister cities, right? So, we want to attract, the kind of employers that are interested in that. So, on the neighborhoods that we have, a lot of those were platted, years ago. So, what is it we can do from our end to have that as an option, I guess?
Continue
and
driving that.
Continue to drive that. And at the same time, we want affordability, across the board, but we want to mix. We've always said we want a mix of housing. So if you want this kind of house, you can find it here. If you want this kind of house, you can find it here. So
I'm okay
Help
revisiting the
us there.
garage thing and the changing the alley loaded product. If you can show us how you can make that not look hideous.
And can you briefly tell us why you guys want to avoid PUD, both in time and money, just so we understand? But I mean,
The negotiation process.
How much time does going through a PUD add to a project?
I think it's the unknown of the negotiation process. I think that there are some times where you might be working on a PUD and you meet all the requirements of the city, but the city also says, and we want this, or and we want that.
So you go back to the drawing board over and
Right.
the engineer and.
Yeah.
And with straight zoning, it's you've checked all the boxes, you're good to go, build your stuff. With the PUD, sometimes it's that plus, and it might be we also want a certain type of garage orientation, or we want this kind of lot.
So we need to
mix.
give it to you on the front end in a manner you can achieve.
It's a
instead
known
of coming
versus
back.
an unknown.
Right.
Exactly.
I get
Right,
that.
because
Yeah.
plan portability is a big issue at that point. A lot of us that maintain our own plans and our own plan series are very adversely affected by that, because something that you decide to do in a PUD may not match anything that we currently would have designed, so we'd have to go back to a
So
drawing.
you're
board.
okay with rules as long as you know them up front?
Yes,
But
predictability is.
And especially when you're looking at a market like Leander, where dirt prices are considerably higher than they are in other parts of the region. And so when you're looking at dirt prices, that are pushing $1.50, $1.75 a square foot, you need to know what those rules are, so when you start your initial underwriting, you know what your yield's going to be, and you're able to take that dirt and go, what's my per door cost of each acre of land, and be able to allocate that appropriately. We have a pretty good idea of what a front foot of a lot's going to cost to develop, and can run those numbers pretty fast. But when we don't know what our lot yield's going to be, and we're going to have to come negotiate a PUD, and it may get thumbed up, it may get thumbed down, we may have to go through 2 or 3 rounds of comments. It's time and money.
And what I like about the composite zoning is, right now, if you go in and you get the zoning, the straight zoning, you're gonna have to put them in little sections. With this composite kind of zoning, you can mix them all in with each other, and you don't have to go through a PUD to do that. And
Can you give us the
I
dirt
really like
prices
that
here versus
flexibility.
Liberty Hill and Hutto? And
That would be super helpful.
is
Not that we can
Marcus,
control it, but.
What was that?
But it's good to have that. Yeah.
But to the mayor's
what the dirt
point,
prices are?
he's talking about how we are kind of doing very well in the area as far as executive level housing. That's part of the reason that the masonry requirement, even on smaller homes, is not super high, at least for me, on the things that I'm willing to compromise on, because it's better for the homeowner, it's better for the city as a whole, it lasts better, it looks better, and while we're building executive housing and bringing companies in, they're going to have employees that can't afford executive housing. They're going to need someplace to live too, and we want to hit both, but we don't want to relax the rules so much that we're shooting ourselves in the foot.
Right.
How
Well,
much
it's
does
the
that
benefit of
add
having
to the
both. To
price
your
of a
point,
home
Mayor,
if
you
you
know,
do hard
the-
plank
the-
versus?
Hang on one second.
Okay.
The envy of the mayors of Round Rock and Cedar Park is your executive housing. And that's driven by the cost of the land and the development cost. And what you have out in Treviso and Crystal Falls, it's not cheap to develop. So when that lot goes on the ground, and roughly you average the price of the lot times 5, it begins your starting price point. So you have some beautiful land on the west side of town that Cedar Park and Round Rock does not have. So the executive housing that you have is beautiful. But the workers still need a place to live.
Absolutely.
And there's
as
more of them than
regulatory
the
labor and
executives.
commodity prices rise, and then you're adding masonry, and you're adding front porches, and you're adding landscape guidelines. It just drives that up.
So with our stated goal in mind, is that we want something that's, affordable long-term and maintenance, you know what I mean? It would be nice if you guys could bring us ideas as
That'd be
well,
great.
because we're telling you, we're pretty heavy on the masonry, even if that translates to be hardy. It's not brick or stone all the way around, so it's a little cheaper, but it's still gonna have some longevity.
Sure.
The paint, make it something that doesn't need maintenance every 5 years. And then the design, if the front porch adds an exorbitant amount of cost from your side of the table, show us something that looks good, that doesn't look like a row of front doors and garage doors.
Well, how much does the masonry add on an average size house if we?
So I did a comparison from our Mason Hill subdivision to Morningstar, which is up at Liberty Hill at 29 and Ronald Reagan. And we took our 30-23 plan, which is 3,023 square feet. And the difference between the neighborhoods was $11,000 direct cost higher in Leander. About 60% of that, $6,800, was the masonry standards. That the difference between a 25% masonry front to the 85% requirement here in your current composite zoning ordinance. So it added about 60% of the cost differential between the two markets.
And when we're talking
And
about
that's a
affordable housing.
singular
That's
snapshot of
pretty
one house.
significant.
And I think
$6,800.
the question for me is like, so let's say that you could do that front-facing facade, right? The front-facing that is masonry and the other hardy plank or something similar. So would you necessarily keep everything else the same, or would the customer get more, amenities in certain areas? Is that what the market's doing, or is it just you'd be able to lower the price to hit a certain price point?
It varies builder to builder. So I can only speak for what we would do is we would take any cost savings and direct and recalculate sales price. We offer a certain spec level, and over, I think it's 86 or 87% of our houses are built to order. So our customers go through our design center, and if they qualify for more, they'd be able to go select whatever options they want out of the design center. And
Can you tell us, like, that house you had as a comparison? I mean, comparing Leander to, for instance, Georgetown and Round Rock, Hutto, are we in line? Are we substantially higher? Are we lower?
I'm sure we're higher.
As far as like required spec features, you're probably at the upper end.
Okay.
But the consumer preference still comes into that. Some of those features would still be offered because consumers are asking for them. When it varies market to market, that's just a singular snapshot of two neighborhoods that are close together. But we can run it on a broader spectrum of neighborhoods that we build this plan in or other plans in.
Do you feel
Other
with Perry,
than
are
the
y'all the same
masonry,
way?
is there anything?
With the different in the land costs and the building costs?
When I looked at it today, it was odds and end pieces in different places, and no one of them stuck out as being a big ticket item. That's why they all ended up being lumped together in the balance.
Yeah.
Let me address it. My name's Ed Horn, and how you doing? I'm probably the largest land developer in Liberty Hill, so I probably know more about Liberty Hill prices than anybody because I'm the developer of Santa Rita Ranch up there. And I've been building in Leander for many, many years because I owned Wilshire Homes for for decades and started it. So I've been around this market for a long time. I am deeply, deeply concerned about the affordability of houses. And I believe it's the biggest single problem we face in Austin for the quality of life that people have is to be able to truly be able to have an affordable product.
I agree.
And I think it's the biggest challenges we have.
So how do we get there?
I'm going to address that issue just a second.
But
In
just
Liberty
so
Hill.
we're all on the same page here, we
Yeah.
still need to cover PIDs, and we're
Right.
we're
Sure,
counting
I
down.
know.
So-
Okay, so I won't take too long.
Okay.
So, bottom line is, in Liberty Hill, we may well be able to buy land cheaper than we do here in Leander, but we have to spend a tremendous amount of infrastructure costs to get all the stuff we have to get. I had to build the sewer plant for the city of Liberty Hill, which was $10 million. I had to bring water to this community for $11 million worth of water, and I had to bring $12 million worth of natural gas to the community. So when you put all that together, those land prices are not appreciably different, if you follow what I'm saying. The biggest issue that I think Leander's faced over my years is bureaucratic creep. And what I mean by that is that the city has added one more little thing on top of another little thing, on top of another little thing, that eventually added to the problem. And no one did it on purpose. Nobody went out and said, oh, what we're going to do is we're going to do all these things on purpose. It's accumulation of things. And if I were in your shoes, I would step back to the city and say, what do we do to deliver a lot? Typically today, to build a $250,000 home, you've got to be able to have somewhere in the neighborhood of around a $45,000 to $50,000 lot in order to deliver that. What does it take? The question I would ask from your position is, what do we do as a city to allow the developer to deliver a $45,000 to $50,000 lot? That's the critical question, because builders are not going out to try to just take as much profit as they can off of it, because most of these guys are kind of like these guys. They're big production builders, and they're looking at what does it take to turn their inventory. And they're not looking at high margins. They don't operate off high margins. They operate off of others. A custom builder has to operate off high margins because they don't do that many houses. So the issue on the west side that you have over there, where you're on, we got the executive houses, means that the aesthetics, combined with the product offerings, combined with its location relative to Austin, where you can't develop those kind of houses anymore. I mean, there aren't any custom builders. They're all going away because they can't deliver the lots. There aren't the lots available out there. Has created an opportunity for Leander to take advantage of that.
So can I ask you, I'm sorry, process time
Yes.
in Leander versus our surrounding cities, is it substantially longer?
Substantially longer than Liberty Hill.
Anybody else?
Substantially longer than
Yeah.
Liberty
Oh,
Hill?
substantially longer.
Anybody else have any?
Process time.
Of development?
Right, just to,
I can tell you that, so I'm Steve Kressa, I'm with Scott Felder.
oh, right.
Okay, and I can tell you that we're building in Bryson, which is more affordable, and then we have executive housing in Graywood, which is the acre lot stuff. It takes us about 3 to 4 weeks to get a building permit from the city of Leander. We get building permits from the city of Austin quicker than we get them from Leander and Austin, and some of the other municipalities we get them in 2 weeks. And then
3 to 4 has come down a lot. That's the case.
yeah, so
That's not your experience, 3 to 4?
Yeah, no,
it
has
was
been.
8 weeks.
Yeah, it was taking a long time. It was the
Yeah.
full allotment to get the review, and then we'd get the comments back, and then it would go back in, and it'd be the full allotment of time
Yep.
for another
Start
comment that wasn't
again.
on the first one. But that's changed, actually, with some personnel changes. There's been a better response. And you would probably
So,
And we're seeing that, but the
okay,
comment-
so going forward, we're going to have to talk about PIDs. So what I think is a good next step, we used to do roundtables. I think it's a great idea that we have those again and that we communicate with each other about, how do we both get to where we're trying to get to, right? So I would like to schedule those, absolutely. So
Great.
PIDs, tell me why we need them.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I understand that there were some folks who came forward at an August council meeting and were concerned about PIDs. From the developer's perspective, it's a way to get infrastructure on the ground in a timely manner. And I know there was some talk about how it might make a home harder to sell, but I think actually makes a home easier to sell because you can go to the customer and say, look, we have this mechanism in place that's going to provide all the things that you need and that you want from your community. I wasn't really sure where to begin with this particular issue. But so I guess I'll just tack it head on and talk about some of the feedback that we got that somebody brought forward at the council meeting. I know that there was discussion about the interest rate. I think that the interest rate was actually, he said he thought it might be as high as credit card mortgage or credit card interest rate, which is 16%. In fact, it's about 1/4 of that. And just like anything else, just like your mortgage, you pay your interest up first. And I think that's why there was some questions about why he was paying more interest and less of the balance. There were concerns about what happens to that PID assessment once you sell your home, and just like any other mortgage or taxes, whatever, it gets rolled into the mortgage, that payment and that monthly payment, so it just carries over to the person who buys it afterward.
I want you to go back to where you said it makes it easier to sell. Please be really specific in how you see that, because that's not what I'm witnessing at all. What I'm witnessing is that the on-site agent can't explain what that is, nor can the person coming in with their own agent. They don't know what it is. They don't know what it pays for. They say infrastructure. Well, every neighborhood has infrastructure. So it's really important to me, you need to identify this put in, dry creeks or walking paths, or tell me specifically why I should pay more to live in this neighborhood, what amenities there are that set you apart, that justify it. Just like anything else you're going to buy, you're going to cost compare. So, does the Ford have more amenities than the Lincoln? Come on.
Right.
That's what they're comparing.
Yep, absolutely. So I have actually an example of a particular builder's disclosure that they give during the process, the buying process. And one of the things on here, they have hiking trails that wind through the community, dotted with open play areas, ponds, and neighborhood parks. The parks will provide outdoor grills and picnic tables perfect for a neighborhood block party. The planned amenity center, including a resort-style pool with swimming lanes, covered pavilion, restrooms, dog parks, and playground.
But are those amenities being put in immediately or not?
I think it varies. I think depending on the subdivision and the price of the home sales dictates.
They
that.
were. Okay.
They were
In this particular one?
year breaking ground.
I think we understand it's a new financing thing, and we understand from developers that that's what they're having to do to actually bring these, to, this neighborhood to market. And I think where our heartburn comes is we used to have developers, that they brought that stuff anyway. They weren't
Right.
having to come, and do a PID. And then I think the neighborhoods that are giving us the residents that are having the most heartburn is the notification that they don't know that that's what they're signing off, and they're not finding out about it until the closing table, and they're like, what? And they're shocked. They're like, that's a car payment, for some people, and they're really having trouble with that, the notification, and we're really trying to hone in and make that process better and simpler and more transparent, and we don't know how to do that.
So that is something that
I
I've
favor
heard.
that transparency to make sure that there's great disclosure.
But a salesperson's gonna
Yeah,
sell a house.
so I can speak to our experience as Paysetter Homes in Oak Creek, which is in a PID. That I think you had somebody come up in August the 16th.
Specifically talking about pay
Yeah,
center.
which we can discuss this here, or we can take it behind closed doors. Either way, but I can just tell you that what you heard wasn't correct, and I do have not just the marketing collateral that goes out with every packet of floor plans and price lists that shows the PID. I can also show you that at the time of contract, that the disclosure shows not just the dollar amount that you pay on an annual basis, $617. I can also show you that same document signed at closing that shows an annual payment of
So then the
$617.
problem is, who's putting that piece of paper in front of them, and how well are they explaining it? And so
Absolutely.
that's, I went on record
And how soon
that
in
I
the
wouldn't vote for
process.
another PID. I wouldn't vote to approve another PID. And let me just modify that statement to this. If you can show me a way to make sure that every client is advised in advance and understands fully, I would reevaluate that. Secondly, I would like for you to be able to have, each time they sign one, show them, this is what we added to this community, and this is what this is funding. That seems pretty basic to me, and as a consumer, I would want to know that information. You buy a car, like, I go back to the same analogy, you have a list of features and upgrades on this vehicle, and that's why the price is this much more. Show me the same thing on a neighborhood, and I can get behind that.
And that's what I've said to y'all, that I would like to see not just a notification that this is a PID neighborhood, but the second one penny goes hard for a client, that PID needs to be a separate document that shows exactly how much it is and signed. So the biggest complaint is people have put down payments, and then later it dawns on them about the PID. Whatever reason,
And then
however we
they
got
have
there.
unrecoverable funds into the
It-
property.
Now they
Right.
can't get out.
So Lee,
think-
is there a chance that you could do, as soon as somebody walks in and they're starting to kick tires and,
Sure.
you say, well, hey, just need to let you know right up front, we are in a, this is a PID, explain what it is, and just say, hey, can I just get you to sign this that I talked to you about it, right up front before we go any
I think
further.
that's-
If you do that, you're going to run them out the door.
Right, I don't
You
even
have to
care.
present it
Let me
right.
just say, we're a builder that buys lots. So whether it's in a PID or a MUD, I can tell you from a building standpoint, or as a consumer, I'd rather be in a PID than a MUD. The tax rate's lower.
Yeah.
The PID goes away. It's an assessment.
I agree.
So in Oak Creek,
But the MUD at 3.1, 3.3%, in Oak Creek it's 2.7. You pay $617 a year.
so tell me why you needed a PID in Oak Creek.
Oh, that's a developer question.
Okay.
We're home builders that
Yeah.
buy lots, and if it's in a PID, that's a.
But is it that you feel that you're, trying to hit a certain price point so that,
Well, the monthly payment is everything, because the house isn't $250,000, it's $1,700 a month.
And remember,
Right.
we just finished a conversation about affordability.
Right.
And now we're adding money to it.
No, so
That's not
with the
factored
PID
into their
so-
mortgage.
Mayor, I think
It is, it's escrow.
would like to have.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah,
That's-
sorry.
I'll wait until you finish, and then I'll
So
jump in.
If this financing mechanism in Oak Creek was a MUD, the tax rate's gonna be north of 3%. That adds to the monthly payment and makes it more expensive, and therefore excludes, for every $1,000 you add, 1,700 people are priced out of the market. And Oak Creek today with the PID, it's 2.7%, and in 25 years it goes away. The tax rate will actually go down by $617 a month. So for us,
A month or a year?
I'm sorry, a year. Thank you for the correction. So it's disclosed both in dollars and in time, not once, but twice. People forget. You sign a lot of documents. You get
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm thinking, is that it's buried.
But we have DPF and G come in and train our sales team before we go out and sell it. I mean, I think there are safeguards we can put in place. Mayor, having somebody to sign off, that's a slippery slope. Where do we stop having to sign?
Yeah. You had some
I have a comment to that after you're done.
I did. I actually wanted to mention that because I know that the developer community has been listening to City Council, because this isn't the first time that the City Council has expressed a concern about disclosures to home buyers. And so there's been 3 PIDs that have been created within the city. In the last 2 that have been created, in the agreements that have been put together and signed with the city, we've actually worked to enhance that disclosure program that is being presented to the home buyers. So there is a separate document that each homeowner does need to buy. In that document, it outlines exactly what their payment is per their lot size, right? It then lists out each one of their payments for that 30-year period in the PID. It explains that they can prepay at any time. There was a concern about interest. One of the beautiful things about PIDs is that you can prepay your installment, prepay off that entire assessment without any penalty. You don't have to pay that future interest on it.
When is that disclosure presented to the customer?
Most of in talking to the sales teams, and we've gone and we've presented to many of the sales teams, it's being done at the beginning is what they're telling us, but definitely prior to contract being signed, and then also at closing. So it's being done twice that there's...
Is it part of contract?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Without
In each
having
one-
to disclose it, we've disclosed it at the time of contract, and you sign it again at closing, both in terms of money and time.
So it comes down to the person that's actually sitting down with them and doing it.
Right.
And so it's an education process.
Well, it's not just the person sitting down and doing it, and it should be disclosed. We train to that, but at some point in time, there is the responsibility of the person to sign it.
Absolutely.
So
Can we,
here's
get back to her?
Thanks.
She had a question.
Thank you. So here's the thing, is there are different requirements for disclosing the PID on a resale versus a new construction, correct? Maybe realtors can back me up on that. Realtor has to disclose that there's a PID, right? Or else
It has to be disclosed as part of the process,
up front.
but that, to me, that would translate to, that's part of the title company and the agent, because we're talking about, we're looking at roughly 10,000 agents in the Austin area. Try to get everyone to know one thing,
Right.
and good luck.
Right.
It's just not going to happen. So
But see,
that's what I'm
that's-
saying. There needs to be multiple layers of
Yes.
responsibility.
And see, that's the thing, is how many people are walking into these new home communities without an agent, without that representation that's going to look out for their interests and protect them. Y'all might be giving a disclosure, but you're giving 40 pages of information. Where is that disclosure? How clear is it made? How well is it being explained to these buyers? I think that we can solve a lot of heartache for the buyers as well as a lot of apprehension on this side of the table if we're making sure that those disclosures are very upfront, that buyers are very, very aware of what they're getting into. Because I think that this is a vulnerable population walking in without
And I do
representation.
hear that y'all are really working that.
Yes.
Listening
And
to us. And we know you can lead a horse to water, but you can't. We totally get that. So we know it's,
Have you ever led a
it's
horse to
something.
water?
Actually, I have.
We are giving those presentations to the sales team. The other thing
Good.
that's being prepared is you had asked for information, what is being funded.
Yes, sir.
Each PID has has an administrator, and that administrator is preparing an informational brochure. That's one of the requirements that we've added
What's the
since
font size on that?
the informational
I'm
brochure.
I'm sort of not joking.
Well, okay, no, I'm glad that you mentioned that because it's actually the administrator works for the city. So if you're not happy with how that brochure looks, you can tell them to change it, right? And so we've helped to provide information. In fact, we've talked with the city administrator many times to make sure that all of the required information is in that brochure to make sure they have all the accurate information. But that brochure also goes to the city staff for them to look at and make sure that they think it's adequate.
The one that I saw, and it's been a while, in all fairness, it's been a while, was, it was a brochure, and in terms of size, but it was black and white, and the print was tiny, and most people are not going to read that. Oh,
Hey, guys, I hate to cut it short, but we got 10 minutes, so, look, obviously an hour's not long enough. So, again,
The roundtables are a great.
absolutely, you know,
And we do have some ideas. We have some
Okay.
ideas, some solutions
Because the
to
information
address
you
this.
got on the PIDs from
So,
that buyer, a roundtable would have solved a lot of that. It
Okay.
was misinformation, it was emotional, it wasn't
Okay.
fact-based.
We got to
I
be able to do
do have
this.
one question, and this will be quick. How popular are PIDs now? How many more PIDs are coming forward? Because I know we're having them come to us now.
You're seeing a large increase in PIDs, and there are many reasons for that. One of the key reasons is they talked about an increase in cost, and then you're also seeing an affordability where developers and builders, they're having to put in this infrastructure that costs more, but at the same time, they're trying to maintain a lower home price in communities where buyers are requiring more. Buyers want more amenities within their communities. They want them sooner. They're not willing to wait until phase 3. And the developers can't put in all of the infrastructure at the cost, keep home prices low, and provide the amenities that home buyers are seeking for. And that's why you see a lot of home buyers attracted to communities with PIDs, even if they don't know that a PID is there, because they like that community. They like the way the
and that's what's
community
going to sell
looks.
ultimately.
And,
Like the
and that's
neighborhood.
what the PID provides. So you've seen an increase in PIDs throughout the entire state. You've seen them in Dallas. You're seeing them in Houston as well. Even though there's a lot of MUDs in that area, you see you see more and more of them being created there because, as was mentioned over here, there's a termination period at 30 years they go away. The home buyers know what their payment is. Day one, they know what their payments are for the life of the PID. They can prepay it. There are benefits to everybody from using PIDs, so you're seeing an increase in popularity with their use.
gentlemen, I hate to cut you short. Awesome. Thank you so much.
yes, thank you for having us.
And thank you guys for coming. I know we didn't get to everybody.
David,
Time is now 5:53. We're now adjourned from work session. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Today is Thursday. This is October 18th. And time does fly. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Leander City Council. We're about to have our invocation. I'm going to ask Pastor Ryan Robinson to come forward. He is president of the Cedar Park Stake of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, chief people officer at Bazaar Voice, and resident of Grand Mesa. He'll be providing the invocation. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to come before Thee this evening at the beginning of this City Council meeting to express our gratitude and to seek Thy direction and Thy help in all that we do, and in particular in this next bit of time as we counsel together as council members and as mayor and as community members as well. Father in heaven, we're grateful for the blessings which are given to us in this community. We are grateful for the comforts that we enjoy, for the blessings that come to us here in this wonderful city of Leander. We are mindful also, Father in heaven, of those that are in need in this community. We're mindful of those that are suffering economically and with physical challenges and with mental and emotional challenges, and we pray for them tonight. We pray that as we think about and counsel together, that we will consider the needs of the one and the family and of the many. We're also mindful, Father in heaven, of those that live in communities close to us here, those that have been impacted here recently in Llano and Marble Falls and Kingsland and other cities by these floods. And we pray for them. We pray for those families that have been impacted, those individuals that have been impacted, that they will be comforted and strengthened and uplifted. Now, Father, again, as we begin this meeting, we seek the blessing and help of the Spirit. We pray that Spirit will be with us and be with these good council members and the mayor and the city manager as they think through and deliberate. May they continue to work in a unified fashion to come to the best decisions for this community and for this city, that all will benefit and be blessed and be strengthened by the decisions made here. We pray for those that are here visiting and those that are here to hear and be part of these deliberations, that they too will listen to the guidance in their heart and in their minds and in their soul, that we might come to the best decisions possible and move this community forward in a powerful and wonderful way, that we may love and lift and strengthen one another in all that we do. We love Thee. We love the blessings that come from Thee. And we pray for these things now and do so in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Ms. Crabtree, if we could get the roll call, please.
Councilmember Andrea Navarrete,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Michelle Stevenson,
Here.
Councilmember Shannon Shepherd,
Here.
Councilmember Christine Setterquist,
Here.
Councilmember Jeff Seiler,
Here.
Councilmember Marcy Cannon,
Here.
Mayor Troy Hill.
Present. We do have a quorum. We can do business. At this time, we're going to move to staff reports. Mr. Cagle.
Yes, sir, Mayor and Council. My report will be fairly brief tonight. It's just on a sales tax update. As you know, our fiscal year has ended at the end of September, but it's not over, and we have one more month of sales tax collection. The November check will mark the official ending of the fiscal year. But 11 months through the fiscal year, we're 11.45% ahead of where we were last year. And this past sales tax check was 9.6% above last year. And if you look back at the chart, you can see in May of this year we had the largest sales tax check that we've had in the history of the city. So just a quick look. This looks a little bit familiar to our single-family permits. So we show January through December. This is a calendar year. And then you see 5 years of detail there, so you can see the steady march upward. It's not always the same every month for a number of reasons, because there are, on a quarterly basis, the payments are larger because everyone pays on a quarterly basis. Usually the large businesses pay monthly, but the smaller businesses only pay quarterly, so those quarterly checks are larger. And then there's also variations throughout the year. Sometimes maybe our largest taxpayer may pay early or may pay late, and that can change the numbers. But if you look back, we're at probably finished the year about 12% increase, and the year before that we finished at 10.74. The year before that, 21%. It's you can tell from this it's a steady march upward, but that goes along with our population increase as well. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Who is our largest sales tax?
Well, we can't give specific information.
Can you say what category it is?
Yes, it would be a retailer.
Okay.
Yes. No, but that's that. You would expect that, but that's not the case because we have a lot of really large sales tax payers that aren't necessarily retail. So that sounded like maybe like a flip answer, but it's not. There are a number of categories that are not retail that pay some pretty large sales tax.
Okay. No, I'm sorry. We do have citizens' comments coming up. Okay. At this time, Finance Department, Mr. Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. I'll try to get off this page real quick. There we go. I have a few more slides than Mr. Cagle's report, but since this is the end of the year, I thought it'd be helpful to have a little longer perspective on some of these revenue trends, and then in the future, this report will be a little shorter. But Starting with the general fund, the revenues, we ended the year slightly above budget in every major category that we budget revenues for, and that is partly good news, but it's also partly by design. You've heard us many times talk about we try to budget our revenues conservatively. We'd rather come in over budget on revenues and come in under budget on expenditures. So the net effect of this fiscal year, revenues exceeded budget by about $2.1 million. We haven't finally closed the books, but that's where it looks like it'll fall out. So we did 6% better than budget. The pie chart shows you the breakout by the major categories. Property taxes, over 40%, sales tax, 13%, development fees. On the expenditure side, just the opposite. We want to be under our budget, which it was fairly tight this year as the city has grown and staffing has picked up over time. The budgets are getting tighter in each department, but we still managed to stay slightly under budget on expenditures. The pie chart shows you by far the majority in the general fund is personnel-related expenditures, over 50%. These two pie charts show a 10-year history, and again, even though the revenues across categories have grown, the mix hasn't changed too much between property tax, sales tax, development fees, as well as in the expenditure over time. In the general fund, by far the largest expenditure is in personnel-related expenditures.
Mr. Powers, can you
Yes.
back up two slides and go back to this year's property tax revenue there? I can't see that number. Is it 44?
44.
Okay.
44%.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'll go through these 10-year slides fairly quickly. Feel free to stop me if you have a question. But here's a 10-year look on the property tax revenues. The yellow bar is the budgeted amount, so just want to differentiate the budget versus actual sales tax, development fees. I might point out the early years, 2008, 9, and 10, and 11, those were fairly low. So development in the last 7 years has certainly become a bigger part of our income. Franchise fees, that's electric, gas, cable, solid waste. The companies pay a franchise fee to the city. Other revenues is what it sounds like, everything else in the fund total.
Budget year.
On the expenditure side, personnel, this is again 10-year history. Personnel was flat for a while, but then it's trended up with our population growth and service demands. Contractual services. Capital outlay and projects. You can see in the fiscal year 2014-15, there was a spike in or an increase, and it's stayed consistent since then. That's driven by a couple of things. One is with more revenues comes more opportunity to invest in capital projects, but also it's the significant increase in roadway maintenance that each year the city manager's proposed budget has included more money to maintain the existing streets. This also includes the contributions that the general fund makes to the vehicle replacement fund, which again has grown over time. And this is just total fund expenditures over the last 10 years. The ending fund balance, which is basically the city's general fund reserves over 10 years, has grown. It's worth pointing out that our city charter requires that we maintain a 25% fund balance reserve in the general fund. That yellow bar indicates what that requirement is for the coming year. I would want to point out and just remind you that over the last several years, when we closed the year, we've significantly done better than budget. So we have a surplus that goes into the fund balance. But then as part of our budgeting process, the city manager has strongly advocated reinvesting that into capital projects to avoid the need for debt. So if we plan on we budget conservatively, we achieve a surplus, we then rebudget that surplus for capital projects in the next year. So that's the reason this trend doesn't stay inclining, is that we use those surplus funds to do capital projects. Now on to the golf course. I tried to use green and sand colors, but
We don't have any say.
I know we don't have a little subliminal message there. But 10-year history on the revenues between obviously green fees, carts, and everything else, pro shop and the grill. You can see the breakdown between those two categories. But the operating profit and loss 10-year history, it's pleasing to note that this year just ended. The golf course has ended the year positively over $70,000, and you can tell by the trend that is not.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Can we take a moment to congratulate Mr. Cagle on that? I know we gave him that as a special project a couple years ago to make sure that we fixed that, and thank you, Mr. Cagle, for taking that under your wing and making sure that happens.
Thank you, but that goes to the folks at the golf course. They've done an awesome
Grant
job.
and everybody
Yes.
there deserve a lot
Under
of credit.
tremendous leadership, though, from the top
Yep.
down.
Yeah.
But I did the slide.
Yes.
You did a great job.
That's a wonderful slide.
Just saying. So.
Very thoughtful with the color.
All right. On the revenue side, just a different look in a pie. But this is the fiscal 2018 revenues. And on the right-hand side, you can see the personnel expenditures. Golf course personnel, they budget very tightly, and they stick to it very tightly. And everyone in my department can attest to how tightly they watch their pennies. And I think these 10-year history charts of their expenditures kind of reemphasize that point. Whereas in the general fund, with all the growth, we've have an increase in personnel expenses over the years. The golf course is not. They have continued to maintain with by managing their staff and cutting back on part-time where they can. Same way with supplies and minor equipment, maintenance and repair, and other expenditures. In case you're notice in the maintenance and repair chart, that spike in 2009, 10, 11. I'm sorry about that chart. That was Tropical Storm Hermine, so it did a lot of damage to the golf course, so there were some significant repairs that year. In the utility fund, the breakdown on where those revenues come from, no surprise there, water and sewer sales, tap fees, new development, then everything else. We ended same philosophy. We hope to budget, or we do budget conservatively, and to end up with a positive surplus at the end of the year, which we did in 2018. 10-year history on water sales, sewer charges. Sewer charges are determined based on a customer's winter average, the 3 months in the winter. So that's set one time a year based on consumption. Tap fees trend new construction, obviously, and then other charges. That spike in other fees and charges was a reimbursement from the Brushy Creek Utility Authority when they paid us back for acquiring the property for the deep water intake. So that was a one-off. Expenditures, unlike the general fund, the utility fund is more heavily loaded on debt service and contractual services than the general fund. So the personnel portion of the utility fund is 25%. But the rates have to support the debt service in the utility fund. 10-year history. For those of you that recall, years ago, the city did not have a utility maintenance department. It was all contracted out. We had the billing in-house, but not the public works staff, and that changed several years ago. So that's the reason that has increased. Capital outlay and projects. This is only cash-funded projects. This does not include projects paid for with impact fees or debt, but over the last several years, as we have had year-end surpluses, those are budgeted for the next year for capital projects. The last chart is the 10-year debt service history. The spike there is when the city borrowed the funds for the Brushy Creek utility plant and started paying that debt service. The operating surplus deficit on the utility fund 10-year history. Wanted to point out that we've had several really good years the last 2 or 3 years, but it wasn't always that positive in the past. But those red bars where the city was negative, that was actually planned back when before the city entered into the Brushy Creek project and took on the debt. The management knew that growth was going to have to catch up to the debt service. So water rates, after a study, water rates were significantly increased in a series of 2 or 3 steps that would build cash reserves so that when that debt hit the city, there would be money in reserves to make those debt service payments until the operating revenues could catch up. And it has worked. I don't take credit for any of that, but I did do this slide. So
Again, quality.
yes. So we can skip this one. So any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. That was for your slides. And this time, the police department's going to report Sergeant Wilcox.
Yes. Well, it's okay, Mayor and Council. You have to introduce her, but you already seem to know Sergeant Wilcox. So I know it's going to be a tough act to follow from Mr. Powers' presentation, but we'll do our best. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to Luke.
Okay. Nope, wrong way. There we go. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I just want to spend a couple of seconds here kind of explaining uniform crime reporting and just how these numbers look on here before we get into any of the numbers. So the FBI has set up, more than 50 years ago, this thing called uniform crime reporting. So it takes what we have in Texas laws, and sometimes they don't always make sense. Like you're going to see in a later chart that a burglary of a vehicle is not a burglary under UCR, it's a theft. And I just kind of wanted to explain that. The other thing I wanted to explain to you very quickly is that come January, we will be switching to the other FBI reporting, which by state law, they've asked everybody to do, and it's National Incident-Based, so NIBRS, crime reporting system. So UCR is based on hierarchy, so if you had something that multiple crimes that happened in one incident, you would only report the highest. With NIBRS, it'll report everything. So the numbers will be different next year, plus I will have to get everything converted in the old data before any of the new data will be in the new system. So I just wanted to kind of mention that real quick before we get into any of the data. So, so this is just with those classifications under uniform crime reporting, this is just a rolling year. That just shows from year to date, so September 2016 to 17, and then 17 to 18.
We are, of course, going to expect to see increases. These are raw numbers and does not adjust for our population increase. Any questions? Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to do is just give you a little summary of our Part 1 crimes. And again, UCR, it has two parts to it, a Part 1, which is the more serious crimes, and then a Part 2. So in our Part 1 crimes, the highest that's in there is our thefts. There are some pretty small numbers in rape, which is sexual assault under Texas law. And just to let you know, in case you had any questions, there's 7 of those reported. In 6 of those, the victims knew the suspects. So then to break down our largest category of thefts, again, with the UCR classifications for it, one of our larger categories that we had in there is burglary from vehicles, which, again, like I said, UCR calls that a theft. So I just wanted to show here, in case anybody had any issues or questions, the 10-year trend on vehicle burglaries by year and what we've had so far by month for this year. And we had some spikes in March and August. And a lot of times those are based on, because they're property crimes, they're based on when kids are out of school. Okay. So I did put on a map here just so you know this is across the whole city. So the blue represents where there's multiple reports in that location, and the yellow are the single reports. I did a really big crime analysis on this to see if there were any trends. There are not. As you can see from the map, they are all across the city. But one thing I did want to just mention to you is that 42 of these vehicle burglaries were not forced entries. Okay?
So lock your cars.
Please lock your cars. And a couple of them that were forced had something that was visible in plain sight.
Okay.
So, just to kind of wrap, I know every month we send you guys a monthly report of kind of these numbers that are rolling. So what you'll see here is a quarterly version of that. So any of the things that we see, any of the spikes that we see, which, as Lou explained earlier, we always know in the summer when the kid, not all kids, because we've got some great kids out here behind me, but certain kids will get out in the summer, and we know that during those summer months is when it'll peak. So one thing that Lou does is she does a lot of these crime stats, kind of gives us an idea when these times may hit. So if you ever remember the movie Minority Report, where you kind of know the pre-crimes unit, it's almost kind of what she does. She kind of lets us know so we're not spending our resources over here when we know there's more problems over here. Of course, the problem is with unlocked vehicles, as you can see, when it's unlocked, they're all over the city. So someone just plays what we call the car door lottery and just sees which one opens and whatever they can get inside to take with them. So this just kind of gives you an idea of what's happening quarterly, and then if it's a spike in something that we do see, then there's something we can do to address it, whether it's some kind of social media campaign on lock your car or if there's some other issues that are coming up. So if you ever have any questions, always feel free to text or call me, or you can also call Lou directly because she deals with this stuff all day long. She's probably more nerdy about it than I am, about numbers, but she's better at it than I am. So, do y'all have any questions about that at all?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Great job. Thank you. Mr. Womack.
Also good slides.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the slide. This slide is dated October 1st. For 2018, it shows the. If you look to the left, you'll see the projections backward, or not projections, the actual combined storage to the left. Everything to the right of that yellow line, which is October 1st, is incorrect. It is dated. It is outdated as what a difference 2.5 weeks makes. If you were, the projections would actually be, if this were dated today, the combined storage would actually be off the top of the chart. It'd probably be up there beside the S in projections. Since October 1st, about the combined storage has increased just under 1 million acre feet, 0.96 million acre feet. Just although it was increasing in September, you can see it gradually decreased in September, but then it has since shot up. So normally that line is not quite that drastic, and you can see the modeling just doesn't reflect that at all, or the modeling projections, even under the wet conditions, that dashed green line towards the top. If you looking back historically, just for reference,
The last time Lake Travis was at an elevation of approximately 701, 702 was in 2007, when it was at 701.5 feet. The historic high for Lake Travis, the water surface elevation, was in December 1991 at 710.44. Wow. So looking at that from October 1 to today, the 18th, Lake Travis has risen 43 feet.
It's crazy.
And I thought this would be an interesting slide here that showed how much inflows were coming in September, which, if you look at it, it's 114% of the historic average. That's great, considering if you look backwards at the previous 8 months, January through August. In fact, September's inflows were more than the previous 8 months combined. Now, this chart will change drastically for October for sure. In fact, I don't even think it would fit on this one at all. And these are the numbers for Leander. If you look at that chart, you'll see that the peak day for September 2018, excuse me, it's actually 11.44. I think there's a typo on that chart. That 4.72 that's highlighted up there to the far right. If I can get this to work, that should be 11.44. For the month total, 207.48 million gallons. If you look back, that's 207.48 for September 2018. September 2017, we used more water, approximately 30 million gallons more, even though we've added considerably more houses. I'll get to that slide here just in a second. But if you look at graphically, you'll see that peak day was at the beginning of the month. I believe that was a Saturday for that peak day of 11.44. Last year, again, the peak day of 9.94 was again on a Saturday as well. The peak day for the year still remains the August 4th, 12.74 million gallons, which is over here in the bottom right-hand corner, 12.74. And these are the connections I just mentioned a second ago. For September 2018, 17,802 connections. Last September 17, 2017, 16,068. And that's an increase of, 1,734 connections. And you'll see a similar, slightly less number for the single-family connections as well. And this is just a chart that shows the monthly totals, the 207 and then the 237, but it also has a chart for the rolling averages. These solid lines that you see here are the 12-month rolling averages of the previous September 2018 back to October 2017, excuse me. If you look at the chart, you also see the dashed lines are the monthly totals. The light blue is BCRUA, the darker blue, Sandy Creek, and then the two combined are the orange lines. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have on any of these slides.
Thank you. That was awesome. And the slides were good too. Thank you very much. All right, great reports. At this time, we're going to go to our citizens' comments. I have one person signed up, Karen Thompson.
Mayor, staff, thank you. Council and staff, what a good report. It's nice to hear that. I'm Karen Thompson, address 11327 Hero Way West, Leander 78641, and chairman of the Leander Preservation Commission. And since this will be the last meeting before Halloween, I thought I might give you a little history on some of the events that took place Halloween 65 years ago. And in 1952 and 53, and one of these is from 54,
it was of course, remember the school was one school for all grades then. We haven't built the elementaries and the so forth. You're basically, and then they did build one in the elementary school, we're out. But the kids are all all grades are seeing each other every day. And of course the school buses were all students. Even when I came up here, started here in high school, all of we lived over on the lake, and the school bus was everybody from first grade through 12th grade. You didn't have any of this, elementary bus and high school bus and all that kind of stuff, Although there was quite a segregation by grade. The older you were, the seniors got in the back of the bus. But anyway, this is 52, 53, and 54. The grades voted on their Halloween king and queen. And you can tell, if any of y'all know some of the popes that were here, this picture on the left, that's Bubba Pope and Janice Tilto. And they were the younger grade, and they were in about the third grade or something like that. And then as you got each of the older classes did award the king and queen for the Halloween carnival, and they all dressed up and got crowns. And it was really a big deal in school. Instead of a fall festival, it was a Halloween festival 65 years ago. And one of the many things that the schools did enjoy doing for the kiddos, and the parents participated. And then businesses in town also gave prizes. So it was quite a community event in those years. And so I thought y'all might enjoy seeing that. We have a lot going on history-wise, and my time is almost up. But and pretty soon be thinking about November 10th is a Horace Hamilton Jr. Day in Leander, and Horace will be here. And I think it'll be a great festival that time on November 10th. Thank you very much.
The kid on the left looks like my son when I ask him how his grades are. The look on his face.
He is he's not really sure what he's doing out there with that. Whatever that was they were carrying, he's not real sure. So,
Thank you very much. All right. We're going to move to proclamations. At this time, we're going to hear from Councilmember Shepherd and Councilmember Cannon.
Thank you, Mayor. I had this idea 2 or 3 weeks ago that we should be recognizing some of the adoptive families in our community, and it just so happens that November is National Adoption Month. So I have asked some friends and neighbors and even family to join us tonight. If you have had adoption touch your life in any way, could you just please stand for a second?
That's awesome.
I guess I'll stand too. So I just wanted to honor you tonight and thank you for giving such a selfless gift to so many of us. And I was adopted as an infant. My gotcha day was on Valentine's Day in 1969. And I just wanted to take a moment to thank my parents. Thank you to each of you who's opened your arms and your lives to a child that otherwise there's no telling where they would be. I know the course of my life has changed because of that choice. My son is here tonight who, had I not been adopted, had my biological mother made a different decision, he wouldn't be here, and neither would that beautiful little granddaughter of mine. So with that said, Ms. Cannon, do you want to share your story real quick before I share the proclamation?
Sure. I was so excited when Shannon told me about this, and I was one of 4 that was adopted by my wonderful parents, incredibly blessed because of that. And we never got a dog or a cat or a doll. We always adopted it. So the word was very common in my house, and as I grew up, I realized not everyone is that lucky. The biggest thing is they've shown me unconditional love. And by teaching that, very interestingly, God's plan was that it paved the way for me to then live my future of adopting my daughter. And at one point when she was young, she asked me, Mama, why were you adopted? And it just came to me. I said, so obviously I could be the best mom to you that there is, so I would know how to do it right. So I'm incredibly blessed through adoption, and anyone who has participated in that wonderful process understands what I'm saying. So that's it.
Okay. So this is a proclamation by the City of Leander, signed by our Mayor, Troy Hill. Whereas nearly 100 million Americans today have adoption in their immediate family, and 6 in 10 have had a personal experience with adoption. And whereas the City of Leander joins a nationwide effort encouraging communities to support more than 400,000 children in need of permanent families. And whereas the City of Leander recognizes the importance of giving all children, especially those in foster care, an opportunity to find permanent, safe, and loving families through adoption processes. And whereas many birth parents feel that a child will have a better life in an adoptive home and are putting the child's best interests ahead of their own when they make the decision to place a child for adoption. And whereas many adoptive parents understand that while adoption is a lifelong journey with many emotional ups and downs, assuming the long-awaited role of mom or dad can bring tremendous joy. And whereas many adopted persons understand that while they often lead similar lives compared to non-adopted peers, their adoptive identity is uniquely complex and shaped by a lifetime of experiences, connections, and cultures. And whereas adoption has given and continues to give families of old and new an opportunity to lead fulfilling, meaningful lives once thought unachievable, now, therefore, I, Mayor Troy Hill, do hereby proclaim November 2018 as National Adoption Awareness Month. That slide up there is me and my mom, I guess not long after my adoption. My mom moved here from Germany and became a citizen about the time I was adopted, and so I thought I'd share that with you guys. And I think we're going to take some pictures, if that's okay. Oh, but one more thing. I want to thank our city secretary, Ms. Crabtree, and our public information officer, Mr. Michael New, for helping put this together, because there's some unique things that I wanted to make sure we hit on in this proclamation, and you guys nailed it, so thank you.
Thank you.
Take pictures?
If you'd like anyone that stood up earlier that would like to be in this photo, please come forward and we'll take a large group photo with the proclamation.
That was awesome. Thank you very much. My wife likes to say that her parents chose her, but my parents were stuck with me. So that's one way you can look at it. Next, we're going to have Chief Minton with the recognition of Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, Hero Award recipients.
You know, I say you tell a cop to go in a room with gunfire, they love it. You put them up front in front of people, and they hate it. So. Well, thank you, members of council. I'm always proud to be able to recognize the members of my department, our department, that kind of go beyond and beyond the normal scope of their job. So I'm going to read this just so I get all the facts straight. On September 14th, all Travis County law enforcement agencies gathered in Austin for a presentation of Mothers Against Drunk Driving Awards. Each year, MAD recognizes officers in Travis County, and although Leander is mainly situated in Williamson County, we are included in this ceremony because we reach deep into Travis County. 3 Leander police officers were nominated for awards, and those officers were Officer Thomas Glenn, who's on the nice-looking guy on the end down there, Officer Gonzalez, Carlos Gonzalez, and Sergeant Ryan Doyle. So Officer Gonzalez, here in the middle, was awarded the Commitment Hero Award, and these officers receiving this honor participated in activities beyond their already tough shifts, including educating the community about the dangers of drunk driving, seeking additional training, offering training to fellow officers, and more, and all of which exemplify a strong commitment to DWI enforcement in their community. Officer Glenn was awarded the Enforcement Hero Award, and this award is presented to law enforcement officers in Travis County that have the most DWI arrests for their agency or area. And finally, Sergeant Doyle, the short guy to my left, was awarded the Diamond Hero Leadership Award. And this award is given to supervisors in Travis County who have shown superior commitment to DWI enforcement by providing their departments and agencies with the resources, support, and training needs to reduce drunk driving. So, you know, one of the interesting facts about drunk driving is, unfortunately, the ones we catch a certain amount, but the work that they do to prevent the ones we don't know about is one of the ones we can't count. So I'm so proud of what they do. They do a lot of extra work, a lot of extra time to get out there, especially during the peak times of the year, to keep our roads safe and keep our community safe. You know, unfortunately, a month ago, we had an accident that may or may not have involved alcohol. We don't quite know yet. But it's the decisions that people make like that can cause great impacts, not only in that part, but in a community. So I just want to commend these three officers here for doing that. I'm proud of you guys for what you do for the department. And I have no doubt this will raise the bar, and we'll get them again next year, right? Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, we're going to move to our consent agenda. This is an action item.
A motion to approve.
A second.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Shepherd with a second by Councilmember Navarrete. All in favor? Passes unanimously. All right, we're going to move to our regular agenda, number 15. Discuss and consider action on nomination for a representative member of the Board of Directors of the Travis Central Appraisal District.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Every 2 years, taxing entities in the Western District of Travis County have the opportunity to nominate a candidate to serve on the Central Appraisal Board of Directors. This is voluntary on the part of the taxing entity, but if you do decide to nominate someone, it needs to be done by the end of this month. So that's why it's on the agenda this evening. Once the nominations have been received, the appraiser will send out the candidate slate, which usually occurs the end of November, 1st of December, to actually vote on the candidate for the Western District.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any questions, council? This is an action item. So,
I'm sorry, I did have a quick question. They have to reside in Travis County?
And in the district.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
No action?
I motion no action.
motion.
No second.
Okay. We have a motion for no action by Pro Tem Stevenson with a second by Councilmember Shepherd. All in favor? Pass unanimously. All right, we move to number 16, discuss and consider action on an ordinance amending Chapter 13, Utilities, and Article A7.000, Appendix A, to modify Articles 13.02, Water and Sewer Service, 13.03, Billing and Payment of Charges, Section A3.006F, Other Fees, and Article A7.000, Utility Rates and Charges, providing for severability, an open meeting clause, an effective date, and providing for related matters.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you will recall, in the budget process, the recommended budget included a reduction in the what we call the water reserve charge. It is a fee that was established almost 10 or 11 years ago when the city increased its water supply obligation with the LCRA. So the current fee is based on your meter size, and it's $5 per living unit equivalent, LUE. Basically, or one household is one LUE, but based on your meter size, that number goes up. The city manager's recommended budget, which you adopted, includes a reduction from $5 per LUE to $4 per LUE. The other minor changes, I hate to use the word minor, but I really believe they are, clarify in the ordinance where certain things that a customer can request the building department to start new service or disconnect needs to be in writing. That is our policy, but it's not in the ordinance that it has to be written, so it's a safeguard there. Also, it clarifies that the NSF check fee applies to all forms of payment. As we all know, paper checks are less and less common, but if a payment is returned for non-payment, that fee still applies. And it also enables someone to opt out of receiving a bill in the mail. We now offer electronic billing by email. More and more customers are doing that. So just to clarify that is an option they can opt out. Happy to answer any questions.
Sorry, quick question on that non-sufficient fund fee. We're not talking about a large fee for if the credit card declines or something, are we?
Well, most of the time, the credit card declines in real time. I mean, it doesn't process.
Right.
So there's no fee
Okay.
there.
Just making sure.
But if we receive payment, set up service, and then
Get
later
like a stop payment.
there's a reversal,
Okay.
that
Perfect.
would.
Seems I always have to change my credit card on things because they expire.
Thank you. Good clarification. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
Right, we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Seiler with a second by Pro Tem Stevenson. All in favor? Passes unanimously.
It's good to see water going down, at least a smidgen. It's in the right direction.
Somebody asked me if our water rates would go down because our lakes are so full. And the answer is kind of, but more importantly, our rates don't go up when the water levels are down. So,
Yeah.
All right, number 17, discuss and consider action on award of solicitation number S18-035 to Westar Construction Incorporated for the Benbrook Ranch Phase 3 improvements in the amount of $477,486.40 and authorizing the city manager to execute any and all necessary documents. Is there any?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you. I was thinking when Chief Minton was introducing Lou, how fortunate we are to have incredible staff. All of us have incredible staff that work. And Tyler Bobby, a year ago, was hired. We stole him from Brushy Creek Recreation, and he's been tremendous. This is really his first major project, so he has taken this from the very beginning, working with our design firm and design team all the way through the bid process. So he is here to answer any questions and comments or discussion that you might have. So, Tyler.
Mayor, Council, Mr. Cagle, good evening. This is an exciting project, like Mr. Tumman said. My first major project for the department. Exciting. It's been and well needed. So it also includes not just a Little League baseball field, but a pedestrian bridge that crosses the draw between fields 2 and prospective field 4. So that's also in there. We have to have access to the field when we build it. I'm available for any questions if you have them.
Is there any chance we can enclose the whole thing so we can play baseball?
Oh, yeah. A dome would be great right now.
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
Right, we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Seiler with a second by Councilmember Shepherd. Is there any more discussion?
I just want to say thank you. This has been a long time coming, and y'all are making such great progress with all of our parks. So we're excited.
Appreciate it.
All right, all in favor? All right, passes unanimously. Thank you, Tyler. Great job.
He's got the next one, too.
Okay. All right. 18, discuss and consider action on equipment and field lighting product and installation for the Benbrook Ranch Park Baseball Phase 3 with Musco Sports Lighting, available from BuyBoard Cooperative Purchasing Contract in the amount of $135,000 and authorizing the city manager to execute all necessary documents. Tyler.
These are the lights for the same field. Musco typically hires its own subcontractors, wants to do its own install, so we just buy them directly from Musco, and that's pretty standard with the lighting for sports fields.
A motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Shepherd with a second by Councilmember Setterquist. Any more discussion? All in favor? All right, thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Tyler,
Build
you
it,
got
welcome.
off easy with no hardball questions. Hey.
Thank you.
Oh, good play on words.
On this item, it says in the documents for Musco, softball. Is this a baseball field? Or
It's baseball.
Okay,
They probably just put that in there.
gotcha. What are our plans to build softball fields?
Well, hopefully at San Gabriel, when we get the complex at San Gabriel going down the line. It's well needed. We get a lot of requests for it.
Is there any cooperation ongoing with LISD as far as any softball fields that we could use or anything like that? Or is that not a possibility?
It could be. We actually are planning a basketball league this winter, and we'll be using LISD gyms, hopefully. So we've had some meetings with their facilities people, and we have that conversation ongoing. So getting that relationship going. So
Sure.
if we can, that may be the next step. And as we get looking towards San Gabriel, as we know it's coming, start playing somewhere else would be good.
That'd be
to
great.
kind of build it. Yes, sir.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect.
All right, we move to item 19, discuss and consider action on an interlocal agreement regarding allocation of costs for the expansion to the East Wastewater Treatment Plant of the Brushy Creek Regional Wastewater System. Mr. Watts.
Thank you, Mayor. On July 20th, 2017, the City Council approved the interlocal agreement regarding allocation of costs for the re-rating of an expansion to the East Wastewater Treatment Plant of the Brushy Creek Regional Wastewater System, which allocated the share of the proposed re-rating expansion of the Brushy Creek Regional Wastewater System East Wastewater Treatment Plant. Leander's cost participation for its 5.5 MGD share of the proposed 14 MGD plant expansion was 39.29%, with no participation in the re-rating portion of the plant. As the Brushy Creek Regional Wastewater System Operations Committee worked through the preliminary engineering design phase, the committee agreed to delete the re-rating project and reduce the size of the plant expansion from 14 MGD to 10 MGD. Leander's share in the plant expansion has been revised downward to 4.23 MGD, or 42.3% of the proposed plant expansion. This change is advantageous for Leander, since any future re-rating project will include Leander's 4.23 MGD treatment capacity. Staff request approval of the interlocal agreement regarding allocation costs for the expansion to the East Wastewater Treatment Plant of the Brushy Creek Regional Wastewater System.
Go ahead.
Any questions?
Mr. Watts, one of my questions is, with the decrease in the capacity, how long do you think it will take for us to reach our max at this?
This will be the last construction expansion of the East Treatment Plant. The re-rate will apply to the entire plant at some time in the future, probably closer to 2028, 2030 time frame. I don't know if I answered your question or not.
But it's good for us to go till about that time. Is that what you're? How long
Oh,
is this
well,
going to cover?
this
us
is for build out for our Brushy Creek service area.
So we're good for a while.
Yes, this is good for, well, I guess for perpetuity.
Okay, great. Thank you. I make.
This is an action item.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Pro Tem Stevenson with a second by Councilmember Shepherd. Any more discussion? All in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Watts. All right, so number 20, discuss and consider action on ratifying the mayor's appointment of a director to the Williamson County and City's Health District Board. I'm going to ask that we postpone this. The doctor that had said he was going to do it has had some things come up, so he's not going to be able to. So I'm going to.
What's our timeline?
Chief, you want to go ahead and come up?
Good evening.
Good evening.
The current appointee, his term expires December of 2018, so we have a little bit of time during that time. He is asked to go ahead and step down because of some other activity through that. So we do have a little bit of time to fill that term, but it's one of those items we should look at fairly quickly. The current piece with our membership and our partnership with the Health District is really interesting at this point in time. There is a transition in the executive director's position there. There's some transitioning with the staff as a whole. If you're not familiar with what we do with the Health District, we're partnered with them. They're responsible for our food and health inspections at all of our restaurants and serving facilities. They also are responsible for our septic inspections on all of our wastewater facilities that do not have sewer system tied to the city. So if they do a septic inspection on a single-family residence, any of those, they're responsible for that. They also do our mosquito testing, all of our immunizations, our women and children's programs, our clinics. All of those items are tied together. So this is a partnership that we are very closely tied to.
And what are the duties of this board member that
The
we're
board member
nominating?
serves as an executive on the board. The board is made up
We went in as a partner city. Not everyone had the ability to go in as a partner city. We went in as a partner with the county, Round Rock, Georgetown, Taylor, and I believe Cedar Park. Then Liberty Hill and Hutto later joined collectively as a representative of the smaller cities. And as their populations expand, if they want to become a full voting member, they can do so later on at the approval of all the board. But this person would serve as a recommendation in both policy and guideline to the board that oversees the district, and then works with the information provided by the staff of the board in making decisions. So it's very similar to your role as policymakers for the district. I work as the liaison with that, so I would work with your appointee as we go through and deal with different items there
So
that
it's
are regular.
It's essential that they have some sort of medical background with all the
It's
decisions,
doctor-
or do they not have to?
It is not required. What it has been beneficial with us with having Dr. Egglesey able to do that has been during some times when we've had communicable disease outbreaks, when we've had times when we were talking about women, infant, children clinic needs. He's had some ability to have some leadership in those discussions. But just as important, we have had discussions about fees and processing and setting those that someone with a business background would have had a leadership ability to have those discussions. The big item is someone that is willing to commit the time to attend the meetings, to attend their time and sit down with staff here, work with us, work with staff from the district, so we can move forward in getting information from them. They can make good decisions, and more importantly, we're well represented, and we make sure that our community is covered and taken care of by the district.
I have two questions. First, what is that time commitment, roughly?
So right now, they meet quarterly, but there is times that they meet more often, and that has been becoming a little more common than not common, is where they've met almost every month recently. Some of that's been to deal with issues with staff. Some of that's been to deal with issue with facilities.
That's as a board. What about meeting with you?
I try to do that the same time frame. If they're meeting there, I try to have a meeting to prep and have discussions with them at some point in time.
Okay, so my second question was kind of that. Is there anyone that you're aware of that should be on our radar for that, that's expressed interest or would be exceptionally?
I've not had anyone running, knocking on our door, going and say they wanted to do that.
Okay.
I wish I would have.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're okay postponing it?
We are.
Okay.
I think that would give y'all time to have some discussions and figure that out. I would think that probably by the time we come back in late November, very 1st of December at the latest, we should have someone that we have convinced that they can make a difference in the world and give them this opportunity.
Okay. So second meeting in November?
At the latest.
Mayor,
Yes.
are you good with that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And if council, if anybody wants to bring forward names that we could talk about and recommend, and I think that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And Mayor, if you get those names and they want to sit and visit, I'd be more than happy to talk with them about the responsibilities and how that works through, so that way they have a little more comfort and they know what's going on when y'all ask them to, hey, why don't you come do this?
Thank you.
Okay.
So we need a motion,
Thank you.
Dara? Okay.
Council, we're going to skip to number 22 or 21. We're going to discuss and consider action on ratifying the mayor's appointment to the Citizen Action Advisory Committee. This is sponsored by myself. As many of you know, that our former mayor had a mayor's committee that was based on economic development. This year, the chamber was going to have a similar committee, so we decided to roll those two in together. So the Economic Development Committee rolled over to the chamber. I elected to have a Citizens Advisory Committee. This is done in numerous cities around the country. I provided at a recent council meeting some information, background information on other cities that are doing it. And in your summary, there is a description. This committee acts as an advisory committee to the City Council. I have erased the Planning and Zoning Commission, so it would be the City Council and Mayor. Items for consideration include housing, schools, parks and playgrounds, streets, sidewalks, bike paths, public transportation and communication, business and economic development, land use, zoning, building subdivisions, water issues, and other matters of general community interest. This will consist of 7 members who are selected through an open process and are formally appointed by me with the approval of the City Council. They will serve, the members of this committee serve for the term of the mayor. Excuse me? Oh, I'm sorry, 9 members. Yeah, we did it. We did have 2 extra that wanted to participate. At this point, I would like to bring forward the names. We have Tisa Stevens.
Can we
talk about it?
I'd actually like to talk about this because I have a couple of concerns. One of my concerns is planning and zoning is an advisory commission to us, and I'm not sure I would feel comfortable with a mayor's advisory commission advising them and getting with them. So I would like to keep that separate and keep them.
I did say I struck that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So it would not advise to planning and zoning.
Good. And the other thing is, my concern is that there's a possibility there's going to be some duplication here, and we do have commissions and boards out there that make decisions that this one could possibly be advising you on. And my concern is what happens when they are in conflict with each other? What happens when one of our official boards comes forth with something, yet this advisory board is advising you something different than what our appointed commission is? So I'm a little bit concerned about that and about how this is actually going to work and what the makeup is going to be. So my concern is that if they're going to have, are they going to, is it your mind that they're going to be in an official capacity to do this for us, or is it just going to be a group that you talk to kind of on the side?
Well, it is an advisory group, so how it's done in other cities, again, is how I got this idea. Somebody during the election sent this to me, and it was an example of a city in Pennsylvania where it was an older city, and they had a lot of flight out of the city. So the concern was, well, our population's leaving our town, and what do we do about it? So this really started with people meeting in their kitchen and really came forward and started working with the council and the city on ways to bring interest into the city, development, looking at different types of development, and they were able to kind of spur a neighborhood revival. And that city today is doing extremely well, and it's kind of a mecca for other areas around it. So what I looked at is that, I would attend some meetings early on, and the group would they would elect their own chairperson, and that group would tackle the issues that they think are important to them. So while it is a mayor's appointed commission, it's my hope that, I just come in and, if they have questions, then great, they can talk to me about it. But, like anything else, I don't want to overshadow the group. I don't want to, tell the group what to have an interest in. And I think when you look at from a higher level, I think it's great that we could have citizens that may have experience in some of these areas. And, I picked people, they're not politically aligned with me. I don't know what their politics are. These are people that have exhibited interest in a wide variety of issues. I think it's going to be one of the most interesting committees and boards that we have. And I think, in my opinion, anytime we get to hear from citizens from another perspective, it's good. I don't see any duplication on anything that Parks is doing or.
Okay,
I don't have a
because that
problem.
would be my only concern is if they run against what one of our current commissions is doing, and I think it would be great to have them go out there and in a general sense maybe discuss some issues, but I would be really I'm really hesitant about them coming forth when we already have some board and commissions that are discussing and advising us on other issues. And I'm wondering, is this going to be organized and structured for them to come to us, or is it just going to be kind of like for you to talk to them and discuss it, and then maybe you're going to call them forth? Because I'm just curious about how this is going to work.
Well, personally, I think that all of our boards and committees should give maybe quarterly an update to the council, and that it's like advise and consent, and I think it's very useful when you get that kind of feedback from people outside this building, because I think sometimes we exist, we have issues that we're focused on, and sometimes maybe the public's got different interests, and what I'm amazed at in our general population is that there exist people that are infinitely more qualified to on issues that we have, people that are retired, people that are professors, I've met people with economic development history. I've met people that have municipal water history that, the guy was a professor for Texas Tech. So we have a talent base that I think we're not using. And I think this committee will be a great avenue. So, yeah, once a quarter, I'd love for them to. Again, I'm not going to pick the issues for them, but I would love for them to talk to council. And it's not, hey, you guys have been missing the boat. No, it's, look, here's our experience in some areas that we think are a critical part of the city or something that we could just make better. So.
Excuse me, Mayor. Sorry. Is this a group that we could possibly refer some of our other citizens to? I get a lot of citizen input on so many different items, and I find myself trying to, track down and help solve. I would love there to be a citizens committee in some sort that we could maybe refer to, because they could then, find if this is just an individual issue or if it's an ongoing problem, and try to, is that maybe something that they could help us out with?
Absolutely. Again, the idea is that they're going to elect their own chairperson. They're going to talk about the issues that I think that stand out to them. It's not just about what we think; it's about what our residents and citizens think.
I think I would be cautious wanting to send people that are coming to us for questions, because we have a full professional staff ready and waiting to give.
I can tell the difference when it's something that needs to go directly to staff.
Versus sending it back to a citizens advisory committee to go and look for the answers. I think
Absolutely.
we owe them
If it's something
answer.
that I know our staff has a purview over and they know, then absolutely. A lot of these are just, really good citizen involvement ideas, or more positive things the city could be doing that don't necessarily fall into one of our current buckets. So I was just asking if they would serve in that capacity and help out as well.
My question is on your second sentence here, the first sentence and second paragraph. The CAC consists of 9 members who are selected through an open process. And I know most of the names on this list here, and I don't have a problem with any of them. I don't know what that open process is, and how come we didn't get
Just
to
doesn't
interview
feel like it.
them, or...
Well, it's an ad hoc committee. It just like the EDC had appointees by the mayor. This is a mayor's committee.
Okay.
So, I think it's beneficial to have them report to the council.
I'm not disagreeing with that
If
at
you
all.
want them to report just to me, that's fine.
I'm not
And I think
disagreeing
we
with
would
that at all.
have
It's
to
just
edit the charter
this is the first I'm seeing the list of names. And
Yeah.
if we're selecting applicants, maybe, we all might have had 2 or 3 people that we thought would have been good. And so, to me,
It feels like the mayor's committee.
Well, that's
The
what
way
the
it's-
EDC
no,
was.
but-
That's what it's called.
I'm sorry?
The EDC was a mayor's appointed committee, right?
You're testing my memory a little bit. Was there not an interview process for that?
No.
I know because I asked.
This just feels really rushed. I mean,
I'll just jump in.
Yeah,
When I decided to get involved with the city, I was actually surprised that there wasn't something like this where we could just get input from people from various walks of life. In leadership, especially in nonprofits, the first thing they teach you is that if you aren't raising up your next group of leaders, then your organization is slowly dying. And I think the broadness of this is kind of a good idea to get the feedback from various residents, business owners. I see some on there. And hopefully get them involved. I know a number of those people we interviewed just this week. We can kind of keep them involved with the city, and maybe they want to, try this and find a passion and, go for a committee that's more specific. But I think anytime we're putting together a group of citizens who wants to be involved, I think it's a great thing, and I don't think that's something that we should discourage at all.
I'm not discouraging that at all. I'm
You
just,
know, I did include background at a recent meeting where this is done in other cities, so I didn't pull this out of my hat. I mean,
but
this
this is
done.
the first time we've seen these names, or
That's
I
right.
realize that they're familiar names, but
Sure.
Well, I'm thinking.
Yeah, many of these names on here, we are more than likely going to appoint 2 other committees as well.
I guess I
I
just
would
don't.
also invite any of council to sit in on these meetings. I mean, the plan is to have them once a month, and I can assure you this is not going to be it may be a mayor's committee, but it's not going to be a mayor-led committee. It is going
So
to be
how-
citizen-led.
one of the things that I think that was not super successful with EDC was a lack of direction and a lack of a focus. And this feels really broad and unfocused to me. So I would be more in favor of this if this were something that, as a council, we could come up with some things that we might feel are issues and have them give us feedback, address. And of course, that could go both ways for them to bring issues to us. But I feel like it may be setting them up for failure. You're saying you're not going to give them any direction. I think there should be a starting point.
Well, I think those things would develop over time, but I also think it's things that, if we look at these people, some of these people just have incredible talents, and I think it needs to be what they decide is the issue, not what we decide is the issue. That's the
I'm
part
not
about
saying
the
that
citizens.
we have to tell them what to do. I'm saying we need to give them some guidance. And some of these things, frankly, land use, zoning, building, water issues, there's a lot of this stuff that, frankly, one of the reasons that I got involved in this capacity and with committees with the city to begin with was that I didn't understand how, why, and when things were the way they were. And I think to go down a path of determining land use, for instance, without understanding the full implication and the things that our staff could contribute to that conversation could conceivably be a waste of time for them because it wouldn't apply once they brought it back and we explained the parameters. Do you understand what I mean?
But they're not decision makers
Right,
on the land use.
absolutely.
They're giving us their perception, which I think is valuable because
it's recommendations, not perceptions.
Okay, but their recommendation is going to be based on their perception. I think sitting on this side and knowing all the things that we know, it's probably easy for us to lose touch with how things come off to the city. Think of all the things that you had in your head when you first ran for council that you then learned, like, oh, that's not how this works.
That's what I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is we can use this as an arm to figure out how our policies come across to the public. And then we know how
I
to
don't
take
see
them.
how we can say hearing from our citizens that want to be involved in whatever issue that they want to is a bad thing.
And the
I
fact
really
that
don't.
they've all
That's what I'm
already,
saying.
We need
the
to
It
fact
sure
that
sounds like it.
the fact that
board
they've all
to do
already
that.
stepped up and done, interviews with us and volunteered, I think tells us that they each have a starting point.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, I provided examples of other cities that have done this, so I'm not sure where this is coming from, but this is a really common committee for most cities, and I certainly don't think it's anything that warrants this kind of concern.
Conversation?
And I would think, I would think that, if you want to steer it in a certain way, go to the meeting. Talk to them, be an advisor. Anybody on here can do that. So if we think that that's a benefit, if we're concerned about the direction, to me, it's 10 really, really intelligent people that are telling us what their issues are. And I don't think that's ever a bad thing.
This is from the Texas Municipal League, and take it for what you will. Just difference between the standing committees and ad hoc committees. So as council committees usually are organized by service or function, police, fire, health, budget, and so on. Standing committees are permanent panels that meet regularly and have assigned areas in which there is always work to be done. On the other hand, ad hoc or special committees serve on a temporary basis and deal with short-term items that cannot be handled by a standing committee. At the option of the city council, either the full council can designate the council members who chair or serve as members of the various committees on the council, or the council can delegate this authority to the mayor. So,
Yeah, I just find it funny. I never heard this kind of feedback, the last time that the mayor had a committee and,
Well, Troy, I think your idea is great. I like the idea of having. My only concern was duplicating what is going on with our other boards and commissions, and if we can just kind of make sure that they don't duplicate anything like that. Actually, I think it would be great to get feedback from a panel like this, but I'm not certain I want to, since we have so many other boards and commissions, to make this just, like you said, advisory and maybe something for you. But then in addition to that, I think Shannon's right in that we should give some direction from time to time.
So let me ask you a question. So let's say that they felt that they wanted to talk about landscaping, for instance. Like, how do we beautify the city? Okay. Now, is that covered by any other committee that we have?
We used to have didn't we used to have a committee that did that? I think one of our.
I've never heard any kind of.
Well, somebody. There was a small group of people that used to do some
city, so
beautification.
Parks and Recs board and Parks Commission.
Could be, but.
They had done
the point is, in 4 years, I've never heard any report from any of our committees in a positive way about, what, from the outside, what do we think is important?
Sure.
That's exactly what I would love to see. And to me, that's what I care about. No offense to anybody up here, but I want to know what people care about out there.
Mm-hmm. Mayor, I think that it's a great idea. I think maybe we could work on some of the the wording of the definition of maybe where we'd like them to focus on.
Yeah.
See, I think it's too narrow. I think if we're going to have a citizens advisory committee, they should be able to advise us about whatever is important in their work.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
I agree, but it would be nice if maybe some of us on council could give some suggestions of some of the things we've heard of, and maybe just take another stab at how it's written.
I think the idea was great. I love the names on there. I don't have any problem with the names at all. I just, like Mayor Fielder's was the Committee for Disabled Citizens or something like that, and Economic Development. So they're only
Focused.
organized, purposed on those two items each. He had two committees, and One was just on economic development. The other
And at
was
the
on-
time, we didn't have an economic development
Accessibility.
director, so they were kind of filling a void.
Well, at the time, I remember the feedback from members of this council was that we never heard from the EDC. We didn't know what they were doing.
Exactly right.
And they didn't meet
We
very
didn't know
often.
what was going on, and there was
Well,
so
that's
much
true.
turnover within the EDC because it was just a sounding board for what we wanted to tell them. I'm more interested in what they tell us.
So I think we all agree up here that we want to hear from citizens. We want to have a feedback loop. It's just the interpretation of how we do that. Personally, I am tired of seeing new ideas getting postponed over and over
Right.
again. So how do we do this now?
So how about if we do this? Pro Tem, would you care to sit in on the meetings? And we can steer them initially till they elect their own chairperson, and we can advise them to concentrate on areas that don't overlap the other committees.
Yes, yes.
But
Would you be okay
does this
with
still
that?
comply with the charter?
That's my
And that would
question.
I
be
worry
another
about the
thing.
charter.
Are we?
I don't think there's anything in the charter
Can
that
we
would
ask
preclude
our
this.
legal counsel, please?
I don't think it's a problem for me to chime in with my thoughts, but yes, we can ask our legal counsel. Thank you.
Good God.
Good evening.
Hi.
Hi. I'd like to hear the specific question again.
Mr. Silo read some information from
Text me this.
TML.
TML about the requirements in forming committees and the difference in a charter committee and an ad hoc committee. So where does this fall?
Your charter specifically says that I've been looking at it while y'all have been talking. The charter specifically says that the council appoints boards and commissions, and that's the term that the charter uses. And those are the boards and commissions that are established by the charter, as well as those that are established by the city council through ordinance or through other action. This committee appears to be more of an ad hoc or a special committee is the term that you've used. Your boards and commission ordinance that you've adopted after the charter was amended to require the board selection committee to adopt these things adds the word special committee to it. So I'm just trying to deal with the language that's in there. The boards and commissions ordinance doesn't speak to an ad hoc committee, so I think you're fine with your charter. If I'm just looking at the appointment process, so that's the legal issue I'm looking at. You're not using your board selection committee to appoint, and I don't see that that is not necessarily inconsistent with your charter or your ordinance if it's an ad hoc committee. And to avoid any doubt, the council can also waive the requirements of the ordinance for the board selection process to apply to this committee, just to make it clear it up. The only other thing to be aware of is that the ethics ordinance is pretty broad as to who it applies to. It applies to anybody that's appointed by the council, so the members should just be aware of that
They have to
requirement.
complete an open records training and that kind of stuff.
They're advisory only. So, but if they're going to meet in compliance with the Open Meetings Act, if it's an advisory only body, then they do not have to comply with the Open Meetings Act.
Okay.
But you, as the council, can elect that they do so. And if they are, they might as well do the training just so they know what's required. And it's online, it's fairly simple. So that could be a requirement that the council sets.
Yeah.
One of the things that
Oh, that's okay. Go ahead.
I think would make this group more effective is, like I said, I don't want to sit a bunch of people in a room with no direction. And this reminds me a whole lot of when we do our comp plan review. And you ask people what they want, and they come up with ideas, and there's no way for us to implement them because there's no guidance along the way in what the city is capable of and not capable of. And so one of the things that I would like to add to this is that when there's a specific, I don't understand how schools, I don't know how we can contribute to that with the committee. That's like not in our jurisdiction. You know what I mean? How are we going to do anything with schools? So I think when there's something that they want to discuss, I would like them to have access to contact a member of city staff, a department director, so that they can have a conversation. They come up with their questions and their ideas, and that they have a staff person that actually can answer some of their questions directly.
I think that's entirely appropriate.
But then are we obligating staff for even more meetings that they're already like on the parks?
I don't think it necessarily has to be a meeting.
Playgrounds,
I mean,
housing,
it
playgrounds,
could be an
streets,
email.
sidewalks, hike impacts.
As long as there's
It could be
as long as there's a line of communication, because like what I'm saying is exactly what happened with our comp plan review. I mean, things can go down a path that are just not realistic, and they don't know why, and they get excited and enthusiastic about something. They bring it back to us, and then it gets shot down, and that's not going to encourage participation.
I have a suggestion on some wording in the third paragraph. The committee acts as an advisory committee to the city council and mayor on issues the citizens deem important, and that they provide recommendations on implementation.
I like that better than this list.
Just give it wide open.
Okay.
They can go look at all the online sites and see what people are.
I think that's fine.
I understand the
on.
reason for this was to try to give them some like scope, but I think that's
Well, I
even more
took this-
organic.
I took this from another city.
Okay.
So I was trying to make it similar to what other people have done, just looking at other things. We do have somebody signed up, and I don't want to neglect Derek. Derek Levisay.
Good evening, Derek Levisay, 1101 Tanglewood, Leander. I wanted to make a couple of comments regarding this. First off, Mayor, I wanted to commend you. I think this is an amazing idea. As a former government teacher, civic engagement is always very important to us. We always try to find ways to get people more involved. And I spoke with many of you during the last election and campaign, and I talked to Michelle at length about how do we get more people involved. However, a couple of problems that I think have kind of come up when I was reading this. The first thing is about the language with the ad hoc. And typically, and I think I'm going to kind of repeat a couple of things that have already been said, but generally it has a defined and narrow purpose. It is created for a specific reason, and it expires on a date or after a final report. When you put in there that it expires through your term, I mean, theoretically you could serve forever. You know, I mean, you could go for the next 30 years.
I can assure you that's not.
I'm sure that may not happen. But then also, it also generally avoids conflict or duplication with other groups. So a couple of problems that we find here is that, as has already been brought up, that this does kind of could touch on issues that are already being brought up. What happens if the Planning and Zoning Commission comes forward and says this is our recommendation, the advisory group comes up from your ad hoc group, gives you another recommendation, you go with that? That's a political can of worms that is going to be a very, very nasty thing, especially if this group was not allowed from the rest of the council to say, I chose this person, I selected this person, et cetera. And then it becomes, I think, kind of one-on-one versus you versus the P&Z or whatever committee it may be. My suggestion for this, and like I said, as a former government teacher, I love this, but a couple things is, with your example, that group was looking for a specific answer to a defined problem. People were leaving the city. So that was their scope. And if you have something that's like, hey, you know, we have a specific issue right here. My advisory group, get after it. You know, here's some resources. Here's access to the council members. Here's, you know, whatever it is, but fix this problem. I think that would be great. But I think if you just leave it open to say, what's on your mind, then I think we create a whole lot of problems. Problems of people not being able to understand what is actually true, what has been done before, what can and cannot work with our charter, what's legal or not. Plus, and then you may be going against the advice and consent of your city. Also set an expiration date or a final report. Say once this final report is there, then it dissolves. Or just create an informal group of these members. Like I said, these people, probably great people, meet every Monday for coffee and say what's on your mind. And then from there, maybe take a couple of their ideas and say, hey, listen, now we're going to focus an ad hoc group on this one issue, and it has an expiration date. And that's all.
I love that.
And I
Thank
think
you,
all
Derek.
those are-
That was great.
Oh, sorry. I think all those are valid. So number one, as far as, coming into conflict, for instance, with planning and zoning, the idea is not that, that I wouldn't imagine that they would tackle something that would come in conflict with planning and zoning, because maybe it's a 30,000 feet view of, okay, how, again, I'm going to use the example, how do we beautify the city? You know what I mean? We think it would be great if, we had certain types of landscaping for buildings, how do we get there? You know what I mean? I think it'd be, bike paths. So, in other words, we look at things from a city view, budgetary, staff, whatever, right? Let's take bike paths. What if we had somebody that came from, I saw that, that came from the corporate world that had worked with volunteer organizations that actually created, through a little hilly area, much like somebody in Crystal Falls did. It's one of the best paths out there. You see what I mean? So I guess the thing that I'm saying is that I don't want to limit it to one area, and I don't want it to be what I think is the issue.
Right.
Or what anybody up here thinks. I want it to be
Well, I
what
think
you
his
guys think.
suggestion with like meeting once a month for coffee or something, just an informal meeting with them,
Didn't
then
Felder
you might
have
be able to get
coffee
some.
with the mayor?
You might be able to get some feedback that way
Chris
from
used to
them.
have coffee with the mayor, and I think that was a very well attended.
Theoretically, could we all have our own ad hoc committee? I'm not saying that any of us
Yeah.
want to do that, but could I have a Place 5 ad hoc advisory committee?
It's a legal question, I think.
I don't know.
I
Jeff
think
wants
it's
his own
illegal.
I'm kind of being a little facetious here, but
Yeah.
Point
Mr. Hill,
taken.
did you ask me a question I didn't? Was it
I
directed
guess
for me?
I was just conversing with you about what you're
Right.
saying, like a single issue versus, the greater issues that the group defines. Does that make any sense? So it necessarily
I
wouldn't.
totally agree. The only thing that I would bring up is that if this is an issue, let's say bike paths, that, we would have to find out, does planning and zoning deal with this? And if they do, you have an expert, well, then bring that expert to the planning and zoning and have them discuss that through the legal channels. But if you remove that from the standing group, the standing committee that's already there, where everybody here has a selection process and rules that they follow, and then you have kind of an outside group that is politically just from you, whether they're good people or not, they may be experts, and they're no malintent. Then there's a conflict. And then this planning and zoning say, well, this is our issue. But even in that sense, let's say that planning and zoning doesn't deal with that, and somebody comes to you or any of these council members, hey, Mayor Hill, is going to create an ad hoc group for the purpose of finding out the best ways to have bike paths in our cities. We're looking for open, suggestions to come on in, and then you could find the best people.
See, I don't want to be the person that tells them what the issue is.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what I think the difference is that I want it to be, I think sometimes government exists within its own bubble. And so it's really hard for people that deal with the same issues over and over again to really, understand always what is the issue. And I think, that constant feedback. And again, I point to the talent level that's out there. And I'm telling you, we have retired people in this community that are incredibly talented. People that have been CEOs, people that have been involved. We interviewed someone for one of the committees that's done, fundraising in ways that we're not doing. That's a talent area that I do not think we're tapping into, nor have we. So, I think it's not about me, and I would encourage you to come to the meetings.
Right.
As a government, as I get what you're saying, and I can assure you that the names on this list, I don't know if they voted for me. I don't really care.
Right. I don't think you get necessarily a political problem there. I think once you get 9 people together and you just say, hey, what's up? What do you think? it's just going to go off in many different directions. I think you define the scope, you narrow it, you give them a
But
purpose.
don't you leave that to the group?
What
I think if you're just letting them, I apologize. I think if you're just letting them just kind of meet and just kind of figure out what's going on, then that's when you start to, maybe they run afoul of the different committees, the standing committees and things of that nature that they're doing. They may not be aware of what planning and zoning takes care of or any of the other standing committees that we have.
So if myself or a pro tem Stevenson were in the meeting and it wandered into Parks and Rec, for instance, how do we, you could have somebody that's done that kind of fundraising that says, I've got this avenue that I can tap into that's private donations from corporations, that we can use. I mean, maybe we're not tapping into that as a city.
But
What-
are
what-
those people on this list? Is that,
Excuse me?
I think what Mr. Levacy is talking about is having something specific with a specific task, and then,
Yeah,
like
I'm
you
not.
said-
Why can't
I'm
you
not
get this
interested
group
in that.
together and ask them, what are some things that you think we need to address?
That's exactly
Wait,
what it is.
Wait, not done yet. And then you make a list, and then their meetings would be dedicated to each item, at which point there would be a staff member and maybe a member of council just to listen and maybe give feedback on
That's exactly
how it works or
what it
doesn't.
is. But I think they need to define that, not us.
And I think
once
that-
again, we're imposing what we want.
No,
on,
I'm not.
We
I'm
said
trying
it's
to
the
give
mayor's
direction
committee.
to make it work.
I think
Well, I
maybe
think-
to
You don't know
start.
that it works in other cities. It's one of the most popular types of
Okay.
committees in
And-
cities out there.
The nature of it is that the issues that come up should be ever changing. Whatever the issue is right now, it's not static. That's not going to be the issue in 6 months, hopefully, if we're doing it right. So I think we need to allow it to just be sort of free form and let people just keep talking. If we had something like this years ago, I would have been annoying y'all for years.
I think that maybe a suggestion would be that council and mayor, at the beginning of this, maybe we could submit some areas that we think we would like some input in as a starting point. Not as something they're required to, but
And I think that's
as an
why
idea.
it's not a bad idea if she and I go to the meetings, anybody else that wants to, and we can kind of maybe focus that in a certain direction.
Yeah, I don't
But
want to
again,
take up staff
I
time.
don't want to, well, me neither.
Yeah.
It wasn't my
I know.
idea. But I think it's, that can be accomplished through an email. So
Of course.
I'd really, I try to look at what people are doing in other cities. I'm a huge believer in that. What can we gain from that? What can we look to in other areas? What's working in other areas? And let's pull the things that are working in other areas and implement them here. And
May I make one suggestion?
Sure.
So the last suggestion, and like I said, I think a lot of these are great ideas, and I think we're all on the right path. Have that advisory board, but they are not there to advise the city council. The advisory board brings up an idea that is something that they think, hey, listen, this is something that we really need to tackle. Once they bring that idea to the council, they say, this is an idea that we think we need to address. We form an ad hoc committee on that specific issue. And then now we can open it up to the city because, like you said, fundraising. Out of those 9 people, there may be 0 people in there with
Absolutely.
fundraising expertise. But
I don't
now
think
we
that's
say,
necessarily a bad idea. At that point, then maybe the council and the staff, that are in that area can work it out about how do we tackle that.
you can say, listen, this has already been dealt with by the standing committee. So back to the drawing board. Or, hey, guess what? This is something that nobody's tackling. I'm going to create an ad hoc committee. You can waive the rules for the the selections per the charter. And you can say, listen, let's bring these people up. Or you can ask the council members to say, go find one person for place 5, place 2, place 6 to bring that one expert in here on this ad hoc committee. And then after they're done, they provide a report. They dissolve. The advisory committee now comes up with a new area focus or direction.
I like that.
I do too. Can we make it 10 and put him on it?
Yeah, let's do
Which
that.
is,
You wanna
Let's
be
do
on it?
that.
I'd be more than happy to help.
Okay, let's put Derek right here.
Well, I think that's a great idea. Not necessarily, I don't want to duplicate more committees, and, we have 10,000 committees.
Right.
But, maybe when they bring those things, and advise maybe is the wrong wording in here initially, reporting to council what they've been doing. You know, one of the things that I absolutely would like to see with all committees is, look, I mean, they're there for a reason. So instead of just appointing them when we never hear from them, let's get them up here and
I
the
think-
things they're talking about, let's hear it.
I think that's on us to request that. But in light of this entire conversation, can we move this to the next meeting so that the wording of this can be cleaned up and we know exactly what we're putting forth?
Why can't we just fix the wording now? I mean, we
Yeah.
make amendments to things all the time and change the wording on the dais, right?
So Marcy, what was
Okay.
your suggestion?
So, the second sentence, what I had in here, I'll just read it. This committee is established by the mayor as an ad hoc group. The purpose is to develop a citizen involvement program that ensures the opportunity for citizens to be involved in all areas of city direction. Some other word someone has. The CAC consists of 9 members who are selected through 10 members who are selected through an open process. Now, here's what I added. An open process of submission by council members and are formally appointed by the mayor with the approval of the city council.
I like that.
And then the members of the committee serve for a 1-year term. And then this committee acts as an advisory committee to the city council and mayor on issues the citizens deem important and provide recommendations on implementation, because not everything's going to need an ad hoc committee. And then I made a note here, the city council and mayor can submit areas of interest.
I like that much better.
Yes.
Yes,
Ms.
that
Science,
sounds
does
good.
that pass the legal test?
They talk too fast.
Well, you're recorded, so.
So as I understand it, you kind of framed
Okay,
the
what do you want,
purpose of the
Sid?
committee by this action, but the appointments are going to come back for city council approval,
Right.
the specific appointments. Okay.
Does council have a better word than direction? So in that second sentence, the purpose is to develop citizen involvement program that ensures the opportunity for citizens to be involved in all areas of the city.
Of the city.
Mayor, I would only, as y'all kept saying, open it up and council members can come be involved. You must remember a quorum becomes 4, so everybody can't
Right.
just show up at
Right.
any given time.
Right.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to join in, we have to contact the mayor and ask him if anyone else is coming.
Right, that'd be great.
I think that given it's got a 1-year term, there's a provision here that you can waive the requirements of the selection for any appointment. I would suggest when that comes forward, if everyone is satisfied with the current appointees that are proposed, that action be taken to waive the requirements of the ordinance for the selection process. The council is the board selection committee, so by reviewing and appointing and determining what level of review you want to take, you can, if you're satisfied with the list and you waive the formal requirements, then you can make those appointments in accordance with your ordinance.
I would just love the flexibility to bring in new people, new ideas.
I'm not sure I'm following what you're saying.
I'm saying you have a specific process for making
Right.
appointments
And this would differ how?
to boards and special committees.
I mean, I know it differs this time, but I would think that when that year comes around, it would be nice to have that. I mean, these people came to light through the application process.
Okay.
Right?
For the most
Yes.
part, yeah.
So why not keep that as part of it? Like these
Like we do
people
any
were
other-
identified through that same process, so I think that's working.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, your selection
Absolutely.
process has an interview process through it, and you can waive that for this initial appointment.
Okay.
For the initial appointment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which they kind of were interviewed, it just wasn't for this by name.
Got it, okay.
Can we have a motion tonight and then do a second reading next meeting to kind of make sure we clarify?
Oh, yeah, that would be a great idea, yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Marcy?
Go ahead
I make a motion, you want me to reread it?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the Mayor's Citizen Advisory Committee as stated. This committee is established by the mayor as an ad hoc group. The purpose is to develop a citizen involvement program that ensures the opportunity for citizens to be involved in all areas of the city. The CAC consists of 10 members who are selected through an open process of submission by council members and are formally appointed by the mayor with the approval of the city council. The members of the committee serve for a 1-year term. This committee acts as an advisory committee to the city council and mayor on issues the citizens deem important and provide recommendations on implementation. Yes. Should I include here the city council and mayor can submit areas of interest?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
And also on the implementation part, didn't we discuss possibly creating another ad hoc?
That's
Should
why I
we
want
have-
them to suggest, I want them to make recommendations to us.
Oh, okay.
It may not necessarily need a whole ad hoc
Okay.
committee.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And CAC members include Tisa Stevenson, Scott, I guess you've asked these people, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Tisa Stevenson, Scott Calame, Robert Turner, Deanna Root, Eric Gardinier, J.D. Gardner, okay. J.D. Martinez, Andrew Nodden, Eric Johnson, Mary Poche, and Derek Levisay.
I'll second.
All right.
And with the addition of having a second reading?
Yes.
That's already.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
Wait.
We have,
It's not a
Okay.
correction, it's just a comment for the expectations for when this comes back. When you establish a committee, whether formal or more informal, you can document that with a resolution or an ordinance. An ordinance that goes into the Code of Ordinances within your boards and commissions section of your Code of Ordinances. And so when we are talking about coming back for second reading,
Is it
Are
a
you-
what does a
you-
resolution require?
it's a document, it's a written record of what you have said that is more easily located than going and looking in the minutes, so that you have a document that describes the function of the committee and the term. If you're enforcing the term and you're enforcing this past the current council, you should adopt it by ordinance.
Okay.
And that's what, if we're talking about a second reading, and it's a committee that you are establishing, it's intended for this to continue past the current council, current sitting council, you would adopt it by ordinance.
I would love that, and if we deem that it really is not serving any purpose, can we
Of course.
rescind? Okay,
You
then
can always
let's do it by
rescind it.
ordinance. I would love to see it.
All right.
I'm sorry, does everyone agree with that motion?
Absolutely.
Okay. I need a
So we have a
second.
first and second. We have a
Shannon.
motion by Councilmember Cannon with a second by Councilmember Shepherd. All in favor? All right, passes unanimously. All right, we go back to, excuse me? All right, we're going to take a 10-minute recess. The time is 8 o'clock, and we'll reconvene at 8:10. The time is 8:15, and we are reconvening. We are going to move to item number 21, discuss and consider action on appointments to the following boards, commissions, and committees: Active Adult Advisory Committee, Public Art Commission, Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone, TIRZ number 1, Development Authority, Board of Adjustment and Appeal, Ethics Commission, Historical Preservation Commission, Library Foundation Board, and Planning and Zoning Commission. We will start with Active Adult Advisor Committee, and we will I'll start with place 2. Do we have a recommendation?
I'd like to recommend Kathy Bernardi.
I'll second.
All right.
Oh, sorry, that wasn't a motion, was it?
We recommend
do we
all
do-
places and then make a motion at the end, or?
I'm just going to go one by one,
Okay.
if that's
Okay.
Okay.
So we have a recommendation for Kathy Bernardi for place 2. All in favor? Passes unanimously.
Mayor, if you would please with your recommendations state if they're for a term expiring on 2020, if they're reappointment, or if they're filling an unexpired term.
Okay.
With Ms. Bernardi, she is a new member, so she would be an appointment expiring on 2020.
Okay. So Ms. Bernardi would be, her term would expire in October 2020. So can we redo the motion, please? Or we're
Just
okay?
going forward,
Okay, cool.
just
Okay.
going forward, please.
Okay, so, place 3 is that. Okay, so, place 3. Can I get a recommendation?
I would recommend Rich Parker.
A second. Oh, for the term expiring in 2020, because he's new.
Okay, so we have a recommendation for Rich Parker for place 3 on a term expiring in 2020. All in favor? Passes unanimously. We move to place 4.
I'll make a motion to approve Dan Mitchell.
It's Virginia Cooper.
He's
Oh.
placed.
Oh, sorry.
That's what I'm afraid I would do.
I'd like to recommend reappointment of
Yeah,
Virginia
where does it
Cooper
say?
for place 4.
You have it, okay.
I'll second.
So Virginia Cooper,
So we have a motion to reappoint
Reappoint
Virginia
Virginia
Cooper for place 4, and we have a second by Councilmember Shepherd.
Who made the motion?
Councilmember
Never ready.
Go ahead.
Navarrete. So Virginia Cooper in place 4, and her term would expire 2020 as well. Okay. We have a motion second. All in favor? All right, passes unanimously. All right, we move to place 5.
I'll make that motion for Dan Mitchell.
I'll second.
Reappointment, expiring 2020.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion for Dan Mishi with a second by Councilmember Navarrete. The term would expire in 2020. All in favor? All right, passes unanimously. All right, we move to Public Art Commission. So we go to place 2.
Public Arts.
Is that Jennifer?
She's
Yeah.
place 4. So place 2, can I get a recommendation?
I recommend Scott Cologne.
A second?
Expiring when?
2020.
Thank you. Expiring October of 2020.
So we have a recommendation of Scott Kalam, or Kalane.
We need to figure out how to say that properly.
Yeah. Mr. Leanderthal. So we have a first and second. All in favor? All right. We go to place 4.
I'll
I'd like to
nominate the reappointment of Jennifer Jones.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a nomination of Jennifer Jones, and her term it's a reappointment. Her term would expire in 2020. All in favor? All right. We move to place 6.
I'll make a motion to appoint Deanna Root.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and this term would expire,
2020.
okay. So we have a motion to appoint Deanna Root on a term expiring in 2020 by Councilmember Seiler, and a second by Councilmember Sederquist. All in favor? We move to place 7.
I'll nominate Karen Sherman, new term, expiration 2020.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Pro Tem Stevenson for Karen Sherman on a term expiring in 2020, with a second by Councilmember Shepherd. All in favor? So it passes. And then we go to place 1.
Make a motion to approve Jennifer Howell for the unexpired term.
I'll second.
And that expires also 2020?
2019.
Oh, 2019, okay.
I'll second. Oh, sorry, someone already did.
Somebody over there.
Sorry.
So who made the motion?
I did.
Okay, so we have a motion to nominate Jennifer, is it Jennifer Howell?
Yes.
Okay, for place one on a term expiring in 2019. And then a second by Councilmember Shepherd. All in favor? Okay, passes unanimously. All right, so we're going to move to the tax increment reinvestment zone, TIRZ number 1.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve Joseph Eccles for a term expiring October 2020.
I'll second.
Reappointment, yes. Place 3.
Okay, we have a motion to reappoint Joe Eccles on a term expiring in 2020. Mr. Eccles, are you okay with this? Absolutely. Thank you very much. Who made the second? The second is by Councilmember Shepherd. All in favor? Passes unanimously. All right, we're going to move to Ethics Commission.
The Development Authority Board is next.
Oh,
I missed that.
it's the same
Oh,
one.
sorry.
Well, that typically is the same
Oh, sorry
people
about that.
So,
I'll make a motion to approve Joseph Eccles for reappointment in term expiring on October 2020.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to appoint Joe Eccles by Councilmember Seiler with a second by Councilmember Navarrete. All in favor? All right, passes unanimously. Okay, we're going to move to Board of Adjustment and Appeal.
Okay, I nominate
We're going to go
Gil,
to place 1.
place one, yeah, place one. I nominate Gil Debner for the term expiring in October 2020 for
I'll
place
second.
one.
to clarify, he's a reappointment.
Reappointment.
He's a reappointment, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion for Gil Debner in place 1 on a term reappointment expiring in 2020. Can I get a second?
I second.
We have a second by Councilmember Shepherd. All in favor? Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
We move to place 5.
I'll make a motion to appoint Eddie Winslow. I guess he's not really he's moving from
To a full voting member.
to a full voting member expiring 2020.
A second.
All right, we have a motion to approve Eddie Winslow, is that right? To place 5 on a term expiring in 2020 by Councilmember Seiler with a second by Councilmember Navarrete. All in favor? All right. And then do we want to go alternate 1?
Yes, I nominate Elaine Martin for alternate 1.
A second.
All right, we have a motion, and this will be a term expiring in 2020 as well.
Yes, that's what, yes.
So we have a motion to nominate Elaine Martin for a term expiring in 2020 as alternate 1, and this is by who did the first? You?
Mayor Pro Tem.
Or by Pro Tem Stevenson, the second by Councilmember Navarrete. All in favor? Passes unanimously. All right. Are we going to do all 3 other alternates?
I'd like to nominate Travis Crosby for alternate number 2 with an expiration through 2020.
I'll second.
2019.
2019.
2019. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Navarrete for Travis Crosby for a term expiring in 2019, with a second by Councilmember Setterquist. All in favor? All right. Alternate 3.
I have one. I'd like to nominate Catherine Parker for alternate 3
And this will be expiring in 2020.
and term expiring in 2020.
I'll second.
All right, we have a nomination for alternate 3 for a term expiring in 2020 of Catherine Parker by Pro Tem Stevenson, with the second by Councilmember Cannon. All in favor? Alternate 4.
I don't think we have anybody. I don't think we have
No, probably good. Okay. All right, we're going to go to Ethics Commission. We're going to go to place 2.
I'm going to nominate Annette Sponseller for place 2.
I'll second that.
All right, for place 2, and this term would expire 2021.
Yes, thank you.
We have a nomination for Annette Sponseller. Did I say that right? Sorry, Annette. With a second by who?
Me.
Who said that? By Councilmember Shepherd. All in favor? Passes unanimously. Place 4.
I'll make a motion to nominate Doug Nodden
I'll
for
second.
place 4, expiring October 2021.
Sorry, cut you off.
No
I
problem.
still second.
Okay, we have a nomination for Doug Nodden for a term expiring in 2021 by Councilmember Seiler, with a second by Councilmember Shepherd. All in favor? All right. Place 6.
Okay, I nominate for reappointment Brenda Crawford, term expiration October 2021.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a nomination by Pro Tem Stevenson for Brenda Crawford for a term expiring in 2021, with a second by Councilmember Shepherd. All in favor? All right, place 7.
I'd like to nominate Dr. Laura Lee Ellis.
I'll second.
For a term expiring,
2021.
okay. All right, we have a nomination by Councilmember Navarrete for Laura Lee Ellis for a term expiring in 2021, with a second by Councilmember Sederquist. All in favor? All right, so be it. All right. We're going to move to Historical Preservation Commission.
I'll nominate Dr. Frank Stiles for place 2.
I'll second.
All right, in place 2 for a term expiring in
2021.
In 2021, we have a nomination by Councilmember Shepherd for Frank Stiles, with a second by Councilmember Sederquist. All in favor? So be it. We move to place 4.
May, just so we're clear, to make sure there's not even a misunderstanding, Councilmember Shepherd and Councilmember Seiler have served in positions on here, and they will be filling, if you have people to fill your positions, then you can be ex officios and attend the meetings if you so
Okay.
choose to
Thank you.
continue.
Okay. Place 4.
I'd like to nominate Angela Williams for an expiration through 2021 for place 4.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a nomination to appoint Angela Williams for a term expiring in 2021 by Councilmember Navarrete, with a second by Councilmember Shepherd. All in favor? This is really easy when we get along.
Yeah, so far.
Sorry. Okay, we're going to move to place 7.
Place
Well,
6.
place 6.
Oh, sorry, place 6.
I would like to nominate Bob Turner for
I'll
place
second.
6 with term expiration October 2021.
Can I get a second?
She did.
We have a nomination for Robert Turner by Pro Tem Stevenson for a term expiring in 2021, with a second by Councilmember Navarrete. All in favor? Okay, place 7.
I'd like to nominate Priscilla Sims for place 7 through October 2021.
I'll second. Mayor,
Sorry.
that's an unexpired term, which expires in 2020.
2020.
Oh,
Okay.
it does.
So we have a nomination by Councilmember Navarrete for Priscilla Sims for a term expiring in 2020, with a second by,
Cannon.
Oh,
She doesn't? It's 2021?
thank you.
Okay.
oh, so it is 2021. Okay, so we have a nomination by Councilmember Navarrete for Priscilla Sims for a term expiring in 2021, with a second by Councilmember Cannon. All in favor? Okay, place 1.
Of what?
Oh, sorry, where am I at?
Place 7.
Oh, place 7.
I think we have the library.
I can't read my own writing.
Library.
Place 7?
We already did that.
Oh, that was place 7, okay. So now we are moving to the Library Foundation Board. And we're going to move to place 2.
Place 2, I would like to nominate Gary Anderson for reappointment for his term expiration October 2021.
I'll second.
All right, we have a nomination for Gary Anderson for a term expiring for reappointment and for a term expiring in 2021 by Pro Tem Stevenson, with a second by Councilmember Shepard. All in favor? All right, we move to place 4.
I'd like to nominate Jason Dykes for place 4, term expiring October of 2021.
I'll second.
All right, we have a nomination for Jason Dykes for place 4 for a term expiring in 2021 by Councilmember Sederquist, with a second by Pro Tem Stevenson. All in favor? Place 6.
I'd like to nominate J.D. Martinez.
Rolanda.
For reappointment.
Oh, so sorry. Then Rolanda for reappointment.
Rolanda Burchett.
I'll second.
Burchett.
Burchett?
Burchett.
Okay, you're going to say it.
And this term would expire
If it's a reappointment,
2021.
2020.
Okay, 2021.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a nomination for Rolanda Burchett in place 6 for reappointment, a term expiring in 2021 by Councilmember Navarrete, with a second by who? Who did that one?
I'll second.
By Pro Tem Stevenson. All in favor?
If anybody's second.
Okay. All right, place 7.
I'll make a motion to nominate Roy Haney for place 7, expiring October 2021.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Seiler for Roy Haney for a term expiring in 2021, with a second by Councilmember Cannon. All in favor? We move to place 1.
I'll make a motion to approve Shay Tower for place 1, expiration of October 2020.
I'll second.
Unexpired term.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion for place 1 for Shay Tower for an unexpired term expiring in 2020 by Councilmember Seiler, with a second by Councilmember Cannon. All in favor? Place 3.
Place 3, I'd like to nominate J.D. Martinez for the unexpired term, place 3, October 2020.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by by Pro Tem Stevenson for J.D. Martinez for an unexpired term expiring in 2020, with a second by Councilmember Shepard. All in favor? Place 5.
You got it? I'll nominate Chuck Stryker for place 5, unexpired term, expiration October 2020.
I'll second.
2020. Okay. We have a nomination by Councilmember Seiler for Chuck Stricker for an unexpired term expiring in 2020, with a second by Councilmember Navarrete. All in favor? Passes unanimously. All right. So let's see. What was that? Library thing. At this time, we're going to adjourn into executive session for the above posted agenda item. The council will recess for pursuant to section 551.074 to discuss planning and zoning commission appointments. The time is 8:35. Okay, we are reconvening at 10 p.m. and we will move to appoint members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. We want to first go to place 2.
I'd like to nominate John Cosgrove for reappointment for place 2.
I'll second.
To a term expiring in 2021.
Correct.
Okay. So we have a motion by Councilmember Navarrete to reappoint John Cosgrove, place 2, for a term expiring in 2021. Our second is by Councilmember Shepard. All in favor? Passes unanimously. We
Did
move.
it? Did you raise your hand?
Who?
Sure. Yeah, we all.
Okay. I didn't see it. Sorry.
Sorry, my head was full.
Place 4.
I'll make a
I'd
motion
like to
to
nominate Becky
I'll
Ross
second.
There you go.
to term expiration October 2021. Place 4.
Okay, do I have a second?
Yeah, she seconded it.
Okay. We have a nomination for Becky Ross for place 4 for a term ending in October 2021 by Pro Tem Stevenson, with a second by Councilmember Navarrete. All in favor? Place 6, I'm going to nominate Frank Stiles.
I second.
We have a nomination for Frank Stiles for a term ending in 2021 by myself, with a second by Councilmember Cannon. All in favor? All opposed? All right.
I'll make a substitute motion to keep Angela Means.
I'll second.
We have a motion to keep Angela Means by Councilmember Navarrete, with a second by Councilmember Shepherd. All in favor? All opposed?
I'll make a motion to nominate.
I'm sorry,
Sorry.
just 1 second, so
Sorry.
I can keep up with the other. So the opposition was you 4?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to nominate Travis Crosby for place 6, expiration October 2021.
I'll second.
Yes, he's good.
Okay, so we have a nomination by Councilmember Seiler to nominate Travis Crosby to a term expiring in October 2021, with a second by Councilmember Navarrete. All in favor? All opposed? All right, motion passes 5-1, or 6-1, I mean. You get a T-shirt later. Place 7.
I nominate Marshall Hines
I'll second.
for reappointment. Term expiration October 2021.
We have a motion to renominate Marshall Hines for place 7, expiring in 2021 by Pro Tem Stevenson, with a second by Councilmember Shepherd. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 4-3.
I do have commentary because Travis Crosby is on the Board of Adjustments. Do we have to take him off of that?
He's
Okay,
he's
we're
on
going
as
to
an
have to take
alternate.
Travis Crosby off the Board of Adjustments.
I'll make a motion to remove Travis Crosby off the Board of Adjustments as the alternate.
I'll second that.
Alternate number 2.
Just move everybody up.
You just moved them
And then
up.
move everybody up. So move Catherine to
Do I have a
number
second?
2.
I'll second.
We have a
I think Mayor Pro Tem, did you make
I
the motion?
seconded,
sorry.
You
yes.
did?
I
Oh,
seconded.
okay. We have a motion to remove Travis Crosby from the Board of Adjustments, alternate 2,
Yes.
was it? By Councilmember Cannon, the second by Pro Tem Stevenson. All in favor?
Mayor, can we have a friendly substitution, including in that motion that Catherine Parker would be moved up to alternate number 2 and alternate 3 would remain vacant?
Yeah.
We have Chuck Stricker
Say so moved.
there too.
So he would
Yes.
move up as
Move up
well.
too.
Chuck Stricker was down on the
Library.
Library Foundation. I have him
Oh,
on the
I'm sorry.
Library Place 5.
you're right.
Okay.
Okay, so we can do a friendly motion? Okay,
A friendly amendment.
friendly
It's a friendly
amendment.
amendment. Yes. And I
right.
second the friendly amendment.
Okay, all in favor? I guess we need to revote. Okay,
Thank you.
this is unanimously.
Since we're talking about commissions, is it okay to ask Paige a question?
Yes.
Would we be allowed to add a place to the Active Adult Advisory Board?
Oh, yeah.
Is that, if it's set by ordinance, then you need to amend the ordinance to add a position.
Can we get that on the agenda?
Just 1 or 2?
2.
Two-
That way it's
add
odd-
2 places?
an odd number.
Okay, good idea. Thank you.
Okay.
Is that the only one we wanted to add to? Christine,
I'm sorry.
is that the only one we wanted to add to?
That's the only one I know of.
I thought we had talked about more, but
I thought we had 2. But I can't find my note.
Okay. Well, if that's all, then let's move on to item 23. This is council member closing statements.
Yeah.
Yes. Councilmember Navarrete?
I was thinking over our TML conference last week, and it was the best one that I've been to yet. So this is my fourth one, and the closing keynote speaker was an Air Force pilot who had started Folds of Honor, which is a charity. And I was thinking back to the Air Force days when I was part of an Air Force family. We moved around a lot, and all those. And my husband then, he was a small part of making sure that the mission was completed. And, I was thinking about that at the conference, and I was thinking about that now, that we are all working together. And that, the great mission here is to make sure that we make the decisions that build the best Leander possible for us and the future. And I look at everything that everybody's doing, and nobody plays a small part of that. And I just want to let everyone here know, no matter what you're doing, you're fulfilling your part of the job to get everything done here, to move us forward. And, there might be some battles, but we're going forward, and we're moving forward, and if we have enough people up here vote on something, then it's more than likely the best decision. And it doesn't matter how small that part is, because if that mechanic forgets to put a screw in on one of those airplanes, it's going to come down. and we need everybody to do their part. And I want to thank staff. I want to thank all of you. And I noticed some of you are gone already, but I want to thank you all for doing your little part and for making sure all those little screws are put in. And thank you very much. And you and Kent also.
I like that very much. Can I just say ditto? Is that bad? I appreciate not only our staff, but our citizens who volunteer and step up to participate in these boards and commissions, because we couldn't do what we do without you, and you're very much appreciated. And I apologize that sometimes it gets awkward when we're trying to decide on who to appoint and who not to, but as Mayor Pro Tem Stevenson just said, typically when we have a majority vote up here, it turns out to be the right decision, and that's our prayer going forward. We want the best city to live in, and you're our future, so thank you for stepping up.
Councilmember Cannon?
All right. I would like to quickly mention the school bus accident this week. It occurred right down the road from me. This is on a low water crossing that I cross probably 10 times a day. About a decade ago, I called up LISD when I witnessed a school bus crossing it with water going over it. So this has been an ongoing issue. I'm glad everyone's safe, and maybe this can kind of bubble it up to the top, help us fix this problem. I spoke 2 days ago with LISD Board President Aaron Johnson, and he obviously confirmed their concern over the current unsafe road and the importance of getting County Road 177 and 175 addressed because of the 160 acres they have right across the street there on 175. The last part in fun, which is the city annexed this road in the last couple years, so unfortunately it's our responsibility. And so with all the comments and calls that I got, because everyone knows that I live over there, I just want citizens to know that it's back on my list again, as it has been for the last 15 years. And hopefully, like I told Aaron, we can work with LISD in the city and get this done to ensure it's safe for school buses and for me and all my neighbors. So thank y'all.
I'm going to pass tonight.
I just wanted to say that for me this week has been incredibly humbling. On Tuesday, we saw well over 20 applicants for various boards and commissions. There were so many that people who were reapplying for anything other than P&Z were told not to even come in because there was just no time. Then yesterday we saw the parade of homes and various builders that have invested in our Treviso neighborhood, and that's being recognized by the Home Builders Association. And then today I was on the Chamber of Commerce bus tour with various business owners in the area and a lot of volunteers, and it's just been really humbling for me. We're really blessed and lucky to have so many people who live here and love it here and are passionately making a difference. And it was really hard with the boards and commissions that not everybody who came in was going to be able to get something. It's a great position for us to be in, but hopefully we can keep everybody plugged in and volunteering. But it just says volumes about the Leander community that so many people are so passionate about it. So thank you to everybody.
She stole my thunder. But, I think the thing is, in the past, as we've had these appointments, we would struggle to find people that wanted to participate and serve on these. And I think now that we've had so many people apply, it's a recognition that our city's changing and that we have more people that are paying attention, whether it's by TV or showing up to meetings. And I think that's a positive thing. And yes, it is going to lead to, more discussions, if you want to call them that, or differences of opinions. But at the end of the day, more participation is what we should all want at any cost, So I think that's a positive thing. So I want to thank everybody again that applied for a commission or a board. Stay tuned. People move. People get transferred, or they get a new role in their position, so they may not be able to fulfill something. Please be involved. I certainly want to hear feedback. On ways that we can improve the city, ways that we as a council, ways that I as a mayor can improve. So, please stay involved. So I wanted to thank everybody again. At this time, we're going to move to number 24. We're going to convene into executive session pursuant to Section 551.074, Texas Local Government Code, to discuss and perform annual review and evaluation of city manager pursuant to employment contract. It is now 10:13 p.m. We are in executive session. The time is now 12:13, and we are reconvening. We're going to move to number 25. Reconvene into open session to take action as deemed appropriate in the City Council discretion pursuant to Section 551.074 Texas Local Government Code, to discuss and perform annual review and evaluation of city manager pursuant to employment contract. Mayor Pro Tem Stevenson, do you have a motion?
No action.
Do I have a second? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? All right, motion passes unanimously. If I can get an adjournment?
So be it.
All right, thank you. Sorry, guys.
12:13.
We are closed
Turn
at
it on.
12:13. 12:13.